Chapter 1344. Source of Poisonous Flame. I'm only a little bit away from level 10. This flame contains a great amount of karma. Plus, I can definitely break through to level 12 if I devour it, Huolian said. That's great. Yang Hongwu nodded. However, I can't help you too much. The god-destroying heavenly flame and void divine flame are my flames. This unknown heavenly flame is very ferocious. It's not a flame that I've refined before, so I can't help you too much. Don't worry, brother. I just need you to help me contain it. This flame can't escape from my control. Huolian's figure kept flickering. The red flame kept jumping above the lotus. Yang Hongwu teleported and appeared at the place where the flame was raging. It's the poisonous fire Kylan. Yang Hongwu saw the ferocious flame clearly. It turned out to be a poisonous fire Kylan. Yang Hongwu was speechless. When this guy attacked him by Yunjian and the others, this guy transformed into a fire dragon. But this guy's real body was actually a poison fire Qilin. This guy actually knew how to disguise himself. This was too surprising. No, brother. It's not a poisonous fire Kylan. Huolian shook her head. To Yang Hongwu's surprise, this guy changed again. It turned into a primordial fire dragon. This, Yang Hongwu asked, what's its real body? This is the source of poisonous flame. Huolian said, Big brother, this guy should be a poisonous flame source. Outside, there's also a cursed all-evil source. However, both of them are only incomplete essences. The poisonous flame source is a bit weaker. As for the cursed all-evil source, it's sealed. If it's unsealed, I'm afraid this world will be completely destroyed. As for the poisonous flame source, it's much weaker than the cursed all-evil source. However, it's still not to be underestimated. Yang Hongwu was shocked when he heard Huolian's words. Huolian actually knew so much. It seemed that Huolian's origin was not that simple. Fire Lotus, how do you know all this? Yang Hongwu asked. When Huolian heard this, she said, I don't know either. When I saw this information appeared in my memory. I don't know how it came about. Hearing this, Yang Hongwu thought that the origin of the Fire Lotus was indeed not simple. Perhaps the predecessor of the Fire Lotus was also an extraordinary existence. Perhaps it was a 24th grade Red Lotus of Hellfire, or even a 36th grade Red Lotus of Hellfire. For it to be reduced to such a state, it was probably beaten down. No matter what, now that the Fiery Lotus had recognized him as its master, Yang Hongwu had nothing to worry about. Even if the Fiery Lotus reached the 36th grade and recovered its original strength and memory, so what? The Fire Lotus was still his, and nothing would change. Yang Hongwu didn't think that there was anyone who was strong enough to erase his contract. If there was really such a terrifying cultivation, then it would be too terrifying. Big brother, I'm going to devour this poison fire source now. I need to burn away the karma of this poison fire source. Huolian said, I'll have to trouble Big Brother to help me contain it. Don't worry. Yang Hongwu protected by Iran. Then, he waved his hand and displayed the fire control technique to the extreme. A formation also appeared. This formation was a fire control formation. Without the Red Lotus of Hellfire, Yang Hongwu's formation wouldn't be able to suppress the poison fire source. However, with the Red Lotus of Hellfire's resistance, burning away the karma of the poison fire source, and restraining most of its power, Yang Hongwu could use this formation to restrain the poison fire source. He didn't need to waste too much energy. Damn it! Red Lotus of Hellfire. It's actually the Red Lotus of Hellfire. The poison fire source turned into a poison fire Kylan. It looked at the Red Lotus of Hellfire and let out a loud scream. Stop it! Stop it! Red Lotus of Hellfire. We have minded our own business. Why are you attacking me? The karma on your body is too heavy. You're the poison fire source. I'm going to purify you on behalf of heaven. Huolian's tone was righteous. If Huolian could turn into a human, it wouldn't be strange. But now it was just a lotus. How could it say such righteous words? It looked very strange. Damn it. You're just a level 9 expert. You want to purify me? You're dreaming. I won't let you succeed. The poison fire source was furious. It turned into a poison fire Kylan and rushed towards Huolian. It opened its huge mouth and revealed its sharp teeth. It wanted to tear the huge red lotus apart. However, it was in vain. Before Poison Fire Kylan could get close, it was devoured by the flames on the huge red lotus. The black karma on Poison Fire Kylan was purified by the red flames on the red lotus. It turned into pure energy and was devoured by Huolien. After a while, Huolien grew its 10th petal. Now, Huolien had become a level 10 red lotus of hellfire. Its strength had improved. Every petal of Huolien's lotus increased its strength by several times. Originally, Huolien was able to suppress the poison fire source. Now, Huolien had become a level 10 red lotus. Huolien's strength had steadily suppressed the poison fire source. At this time, Huolien didn't need Yang Hongwu to use the formation to restrain the poison fire source. Bastard, stop! Stop! Poison fire source shouted. Huolien didn't seem to hear it. It was crazily devouring the poison fire source's strength. Poison fire source saw that Huolien wasn't moved. It turned to Yang Hongwu. Human. A light flashed in poison fire source's huge eyes. It was now forced into a dead end. If it continued, it would probably disappear completely. When it saw Yang Hongwu, it knew that it still had a chance. That was to recognize the human as its master. In this way, as long as the human was willing to accept it, it could still survive even if it lost most of its strength. This was its only chance of survival. Therefore, it condensed a contract in the void. This was the master contract. It turned into a ray of light and shot toward Yang Hongwu. Poison Fire Source knew how powerful it was. The human was weak. He was only in the Saint Realm. There was no way he could resist it. He would definitely recognize it as his master. But in the next moment, something unexpected happened. When the contract was about to enter between Yang Hongwu's eyebrows, it was blocked and dissipated in an instant. It was rejected. The human had rejected it. Chapter 1345. Why don't you take me as your master? You? How can you take a Saint Realm cultivator as your master? How? How is this possible? Poison Flame Source couldn't believe it. How could the Red Lotus of Fire be subdued by a Saint Realm cultivator? The Red Lotus of Fire was a legendary divine object. Even a Tai true God expert wouldn't be able to get the approval of the Red Lotus of Fire. However, a Saint Realm cultivator had done it. Master's strength is beyond your imagination. You'd better be devoured by me and become my energy. The Red Lotus increased its devouring power. Time flew by and Poison Flame Source was quickly devoured by the Red Lotus of Fire. After devouring the Poison Flame Source, Yang Hongwu's cultivation had broken through the limit. He had entered the Great Saint Realm. The Red Lotus had broken through from the 9th grade to the 12th grade. Although it was only a slight breakthrough, it had reached the 12th grade. The Red Lotus was strong enough to kill a late Great Emperor expert. If the other party's karma was strong enough, it could even kill an invincible Great Emperor. After devouring the god extinguishing heavenly fire, Great Void Divine Fire, and Poison Flame Source, the terrifying temperature of the flaming divine mountain disappeared and was replaced by a terrifying chill. The entire flaming divine mountain had undergone a drastic change. It had turned from a terrifying scorching heat into an ice mountain. This sudden change made by Yunjian, Gue Longping, and the others who were waiting outside dumbfounded. How? How is this possible? Lien Rinshan couldn't believe his eyes. The change is too great. Could it be that the divine fire has been taken by junior brother Yang? No, young martial uncle? Bai Yunjian originally wanted to say the words junior brother Yang, but he was glared at by Lien Rinshan, so he quickly changed his words. At this moment, he was also stunned. This was the Flaming God Mountain. This was a flaming God Mountain that had not been extinguished for 10,000 years. But now, the flames of the Flaming God Mountain had suddenly disappeared. Not only that, but it had also turned into an iceberg. That's possible. Look, isn't that Yang Hongwu? Gue Longping suddenly pointed at two people who had appeared on the distant mountain peak. It's him, it's him. Bai Yunjian nodded in surprise. It's Yang, junior martial uncle. Haha, as I said, how could my disciple die so easily? Lien Rinshan was very happy and shouted loudly, Disciple, my good disciple, Master is here. Yang Hongwu saw Bai Yunjian and the others from afar. When he heard the tall, skinny old man call him his disciple, Yang Hongwu smiled bitterly. This old man was really shameless. Yang, little brother, it's great that you're all right. Bai Yunjian really couldn't call him junior martial uncle in front of Yang Hongwu. At first, he called him junior brother. How could he not be depressed when he suddenly called him martial uncle? It would have been fine if he didn't call him martial uncle, but now that he was in front of Yang Hongwu, he really couldn't call him martial uncle. Brat, you're so rude. Call him martial uncle. Lien Rinshan was dissatisfied when he heard Bai Yunjian's words. He knocked him on the head. Good disciple, you're called Yang Hongwu, right? Disciple's wife is also very good. Not bad, not bad, Lien Rinshan said. I'm Bai Yunjian's martial ancestor. This is my disciple, Gue Longping, Bai Yunjian's master. He's the sect master of the Sky Sword sect. You can call him senior brother. Senior, what's senior? Before Yang Hongwu could finish his words, Lien Rinshan interrupted Yang Hongwu and said, Call me master. Good disciple. If you call me master, I'll prepare something good for you. It's a gift for you to become my disciple. As long as you call me master, I'll give you something good. Don't you want the divine fire seed? My Sky Sword sect has a divine fire seed. That divine fire seed is one of the gifts for you to become my disciple. Yang Hongwu originally didn't want to become Lien Rinshan's disciple. However, after thinking about it, he decided to become Lien Rinshan's disciple. It was just a title. Moreover, entering the Sky Sword sect would bring him a lot of benefits. With the help of the Sky Sword sect, his strength should be able to advance further. However, with Yang Hongwu's current Great Sage Realm cultivation, it was too difficult for him to break through and enter the Great Emperor Realm. It was probably impossible in this continent. If he wanted to break through and enter the Great Emperor Realm, he would have to go to the Central Continent. Or he could directly refine the origin of this mortal continent. That way, Yang Hongwu's cultivation could also break through and enter the Great Emperor Realm. After all, Yang Hongwu was different from others. The energy he needed to cultivate was too huge. Now that he had just recovered to the Great Sage Realm, the energy he consumed was enough to create a few Tai True Divinity Realm experts. If he wanted to break through the shackles of the Great Sage Realm and enter the Great Emperor Realm, he didn't know how much energy he would need to consume. In this common people's continent, whether or not he could recover his cultivation base to the Emperor Realm was really an unknown. Of course, Yang Hongwu faintly felt that this mortal continent wasn't that simple. Now, Yang Hongwu also expressed his doubts about whether this mortal continent was a world within the Mortal Life Great Seal. After all, if it was a world within the Mortal Life Great Seal, then why would the ancient Dragon Gate appear here? Why would the Scroll of Fortune appear? And the Divine Talisman? This was too surprising. Although the Mortal Life Great Seal was a supreme treasure and incomparably powerful, it couldn't be more powerful and more precious than the Scroll of Fortune, the ancient Dragon Gate, and the Divine Talisman. At most, it was comparable to the ancient Dragon Gate. How could treasures like the Scroll of Good Fortune and the ancient Dragon Gate enter the inner world of treasures that were comparable to them? Therefore, at this moment, Yang Hongwu became more and more confused. At that time, he had paid a huge price to enter the Mortal Life Great Seal's space. If this wasn't the Mortal Life Great Seal's space, then where was this place? Shaking his head, Yang Hongwu threw these thoughts aside and looked at the old man, Lien Rinshan, in front of him. This old man's strength wasn't weak. Although he was an invincible great emperor, he was only a step away from it. He could be said to be a half-step invincible great emperor. Just a little bit more, and he could cross this threshold. Thinking of this, Yang Hongwu suddenly had an idea. It's okay if I don't want to be his disciple. Maybe it's not bad to be an old ancestor. Thinking of this, Yang Hongwu raised his head and looked at Lien Rinshan. I'm afraid it's not good for me to be your disciple. Why don't you be my disciple, and I'll teach you how to break through to the invincible Great Emperor Realm. Yang Hongwu could see clearly that Lien Rinshan's strength and realm had actually reached the pinnacle. He was just a step away from breaking through the shackles and becoming an invincible great emperor. However, if there wasn't any fortuitous encounter, Lien Rinshan didn't know how long it would take for him to break through the paper window. However, if Yang Hongwu were to guide him, Lien Rinshan would be able to break through in a few breaths. Who was Yang Hongwu? Chapter 1346. What was invincible? As soon as these words came out, even Rinshan thought that he had heard wrongly. Bai Yunjian thought that Yang Hongwu was crazy or possessed. Otherwise, how could he say such words? Hey, little brother Yang, your cultivation has broken through to the great sage realm. Seeing that Yang Hongwu's cultivation had broken through to the great sage realm, Bai Yunjian was also surprised. He didn't notice it before. Now, he realized that Yang Hongwu's cultivation had reached the great sage realm. Huidanzi was also shocked. One should know that Yang Hongwu's cultivation was only at the intermediate stage of the saint realm before. Now, his cultivation had reached the great sage realm in such a short time. Such a cultivation speed was too fast and too amazing. Quickly apologize to Senior Lien. Huidanzi was afraid that Lien Rinshan would be angry, so he hurriedly said, Lien Rinshan's strength was much stronger than theirs. Although they were all at the peak of the great emperor realm, Lien Rinshan's true strength was much stronger than theirs. Lien Rinshan's strength had reached the peak of the great emperor realm many years ago. Now, after so many years, he had touched the edge of the invincible great emperor realm. It doesn't matter. Lien Rinshan was not angry. Instead, he smiled and said, Little guy, tell me, how can you help me break through to the invincible great emperor realm? If you can't, how about you worship me as your master? Lien Rinshan knew that geniuses, especially those unparalleled heaven's prides, had their own pride and arrogance. If they didn't have arrogance, then they wouldn't be unparalleled heaven's prides. He was the same when he was young. Therefore, he was not angry when he heard Yang Hongwu's words. Instead, he was very happy. It was as if he saw his younger self. Seeing that Lien Rinshan wasn't angry, Bai Yunjian and Huidanzi heaved a sigh of relief. You're now at the peak of the great emperor realm, half a step away from the invincible great emperor realm. You're only one step away from breaking through the shackles of the invincible great emperor realm. If you can break through the window paper, you'll be able to enter the invincible great emperor realm, right? Yang Hongwu said, That's right. It's not a big deal that you know this. I've already reached the peak of the undefeatable martial monarch realm a long time ago. Everyone knows this, so it's not strange that you know this. Lien Rinshan nodded. This was something that almost everyone knew. It was not strange that Yang Hongwu knew about it. Moreover, in this mortal continent, there were many experts like him who were at the edge of the invincible great emperor realm. Although they were only one step away from breaking through the shackles, the difference was like heaven and earth. Countless experts were stuck at this hurdle, unable to move an inch forward. You have to think carefully. If I help you break through the shackles and become an invincible great emperor realm, you have to worship me as your master. Do you have any other choice? Yang Hongwu said, Yes, if you can help me break through to the invincible great emperor realm, I will worship you as my master. Of course, if you can't, then you have to worship me as your master and become my disciple. Lien Rinshan said. For him, there was no loss at all. No matter what, he had profited. If Yang Hongwu failed, he would become his disciple. Having such a heaven-defying and outstanding disciple was something that everyone dreamed of. If Yang Hongwu really helped him break through the shackles and become an invincible great emperor realm, then he would have profited. He had been stuck at this realm for many years. If he did not break through, his lifespan would not last for long. If not, he would not have thought of snatching a disciple from his own disciple, Gue Longping. If he could make a breakthrough, not to mention worshipping him as a master, he could even acknowledge his father, grandfather, or ancestors. It was not that he had no backbone, but for a warrior, especially a warrior who had reached the end of his lifespan and was stuck at the edge of the invincible great emperor realm for countless years, there was nothing more important than making a breakthrough in his cultivation. Moreover, it was just worshipping him as a master. All right, in that case, I will help you break through and become an invincible great emperor. Yang Hongwu looked at him and smiled. Do you know why you haven't entered the invincible Great Emperor realm? In fact, your cultivation and realm are already enough. You just need a little bit more. As long as you comprehend that little bit, you can break through the bottleneck and become a butterfly. What is it? Lien Rinshan deeply agreed with Yang Hongwu's words. He also felt that he was just a little bit away from breaking through, but there was no way to cross over. Let me ask you, what is an invincible Great Emperor realm? Yang Hongwu asked. What is an invincible Great Emperor realm? Lien Rinshan was stunned. Bai Yunjian and the others were also stunned. It was fine for Bai Yunjian because his cultivation had not reached that level. However, it was different for Gue Longping and Huadanzi. Their cultivation was also at the peak of the Great Emperor realm. They were not far away from the invincible Great Emperor realm. Although they were far behind Lien Rinshan, it was possible for them to catch up with him if they had the opportunity. Yang Hongwu's question made them a little confused. After all, they had never thought of this question. Invincible Great Emperor realm? What was an invincible Great Emperor realm? An invincible Great Emperor is an existence that is invincible among the great emperors. It is an existence that is invincible below the Tai true God realm. Lien Rinshan and the others did not speak. They were thinking, but Bai Yunjian said, among the great emperors, there is no one who can defeat him. He is an invincible great emperor. Is that really invincible? Yang Hongwu asked with a smile. Bai Yunjian fell into deep thought after being asked by Yang Hongwu. Then, what is invincible? Yang Hongwu asked again. What is invincible? What is invincible? What exactly is invincible? Suddenly, Lien Rinshan and the others asked one after another. They seemed a little crazy because they really did not understand what was invincible. Is invincible a kind of law? Gue Longping asked. Once you comprehend the invincible law, you can become an invincible great emperor. What Danzi said. No, that's not right. That's not right. Lien Rinshan suddenly understood something, but he could not understand it completely. His aura changed and his aura surged, but he still did not break through. Not yet. Yang Hongwu smiled. Just one more step. All right, let me fulfill your wish. Yang Hongwu said, and a terrifying aura erupted from his body. Let me tell you, invincible is a kind of belief, a kind of self-belief. If your belief and spirit are not defeated, you are invincible. Chapter 1347. Take in a disciple, invincible. Invincible. Haha, I understand now. So that's how it is. Suddenly, Lien Rinshan burst into laughter. His voice pierced through the sky. His imposing aura suddenly erupted. Just like Yang Hongwu, a terrifying, imposing aura erupted from him. This imposing aura was invincible. His cultivation broke through the shackles in an instant. After many years, he finally broke through the bottleneck and entered the invincible Great Emperor realm. A cloud condensed in the sky. This was the tribulation cloud. As long as Lien Rinshan passed this tribulation, he would become a true invincible Great Emperor. Facing this tribulation, Lien Rinshan wasn't afraid. Instead, he was elated. After waiting for so many years, this day had finally come. Danzi and the others were envious of Lien Rinshan. Although they had received guidance from Yang Hongwu like Lien Rinshan, they hadn't truly comprehended the invincible Great Emperor realm. Therefore, they couldn't break through the shackles. However, although they hadn't comprehended the invincible Great Emperor realm, they had gained a lot of benefits. Their cultivation had improved. They knew that they had the chance to break through to the invincible Great Emperor realm. Therefore, they were very grateful to Yang Hongwu, especially Bai Yunjian. He was very shocked. He knew that Yang Hongwu was talented, but he didn't expect Yang Hongwu to comprehend the invincible Great Emperor realm. He thought that Yang Hongwu was just joking, but he really did it. He really helped Lien Rinshan break through the shackles and enter the invincible Great Emperor realm. At this moment, a lightning tribulation descended. Lien Rinshan's strength wasn't bad. Although the lightning tribulation was strong, his accumulation had already reached the limit. The lightning tribulation wasn't much of a threat to him. Therefore, Lien Rinshan passing this heavenly tribulation was a matter of course. He had finally broken through to the invincible Great Emperor realm. Old man, now that you've broken through, shouldn't you fulfill your promise? Yang Hongwu said. No. Bai Yunjian said. Brother Yang, you can't. He's our Sky Sword sect's old ancestor. Gue Longping wasn't willing. Although Yang Hongwu had given them guidance, his cultivation was only in the Great Saint realm. Lien Rinshan was his master. If Lien Rinshan was Yang Hongwu's old ancestor, wouldn't they his old ancestor? How could he, the sect master of the Heavenly Sword sect, call a junior at the Great Sage stage his grandmaster? Not to mention that Yang Hongwu was only at the Great Sage realm. Even if he was at the Great Emperor realm, he would still find it unbearable. What? Are you going back on your word? Yang Hongwu said indifferently with a trace of contempt in his tone. Master. To everyone's surprise, Lien Rinshan immediately knelt down in front of Yang Hongwu. He was sincerely convinced by Yang Hongwu. Although Yang Hongwu's cultivation was only in the Great Saint realm, Lien Rinshan knew that Yang Hongwu's combat strength was absolutely terrifying. Even if he had broken through to the invincible Great Emperor realm, he wasn't confident that he could defeat Yang Hongwu. Previously, Yang Hongwu's invincible stance was a kind of invincible aura. Although he had broken through to the invincible Great Emperor realm, he knew that there was a big gap between his invincible Great Emperor realm and Yang Hongwu's invincible stance. Good. You're a man of your word. I'll accept you as my disciple. Yang Hongwu smiled and took out an item. It was an elixir pill. This elixir pill is my gift to you. Lien Rinshan didn't pay much attention to Yang Hongwu's elixir pill. After all, no matter how powerful Yang Hongwu was, he was only in the Great Saint realm. What kind of elixir pill could he have? However, he was shocked when he felt the aura of the elixir pill. He didn't expect the elixir pill to be so precious. It was a 100% elixir pill. This elixir pill was enough to stabilize his cultivation. Without this elixir pill, he would need at least 10 years to stabilize his cultivation. However, this elixir pill could stabilize his cultivation in a few days. It would also give him some unexpected benefits. Hua Danzi and Gue Longping were stunned when they saw the elixir pill. As an alchemist, how could Hua Danzi not know the wonders of this elixir pill? This was an Emperor elixir, a 100% elixir pill. This kind of elixir had the mysterious power of the law. If they consumed it, they would have a great chance to break through the bottleneck and enter the invincible Great Emperor realm. If it was given to Bai Yunjian, it wouldn't be of much use. However, Hua Danzi and Gue Longping were different. Their cultivation was at the peak of the Great Emperor realm. They were only one step away from entering the invincible Great Emperor realm. Moreover, Yang Hongwu had explained some of the principles of invincibility to them. If they had such an elixir pill, their chances of breaking through to the invincible Great Emperor realm would be more than 50%. How could they not be tempted? Thank you, Master. Thank you, Master. At this time, Lien Rinshan was willing to call Yang Hongwu Master. He knew that Yang Hongwu's invincible aura meant that he must have been an invincible Great Emperor in the past. Moreover, he was definitely much stronger than an ordinary invincible Great Emperor. He might even be a true god, the reincarnation of an unparalleled Almighty. Otherwise, how could a Great Saint Realm warrior be so monstrous and heaven-defying? How could he have such a terrifying aura? On this continent, there had been many experts who had reincarnated and recultivated. These experts who had reincarnated and recultivated were all monstrous talents. On this continent, such monstrous geniuses would definitely be fought over by countless sections. This was because they were destined to break through the shackles. If an invincible Great Emperor reincarnated, he would definitely become an invincible Great Emperor again. He might even have a chance to break through to a higher level. If it was an expert of the true God realm who had reincarnated in the divine domain, then he would definitely become an expert of the true God realm after reincarnating. Of course, there was also the possibility of death. However, such reincarnated experts were unlikely to die. Before they grew up, it was rare for their secrets to be exposed. Chapter 1348. Scrambling to acknowledge a master. Why aren't you greeting your grandmaster? Lien Rinshan glared at Gue Longping and the others when he saw that they didn't respond. Grandmaster. Gue Longping was helpless. Although he was unwilling, there was nothing he could do. Their master had already spoken. If they didn't greet him, he would probably be angry. All right, don't make things difficult for them. Yang Hongwu looked at Bai Yunjian and said, Senior Brother Bai, it's all thanks to you this time. If it wasn't for you, I don't know how long it would take for me to break through to the Great Saint Realm. Grandmaster, please don't call me Senior Brother Bai. Bai Yunjian smiled bitterly and shook his head. Grandmaster, just call me Yunjian, Little Bai, or Little Jian. Hearing Yang Hongwu's words and seeing the looks in Gue Longping and Lien Rinshan's eyes, his heart trembled. If Yang Hongwu continued to call him that, his master and grandmaster might even have the thought of tearing him apart. Therefore, he absolutely couldn't agree to Yang Hongwu calling him senior brother. All right, don't blame Brother Bai. In fact, you don't have to call me grandmaster or master like that. Just call me by my name. Your cultivation is higher than mine now. I'm only in the Great Saint Realm. Yang Hongwu smiled and said, No, how can that be? Etiquette can't be abandoned. Lien Rinshan shook his head and said, If we don't even have the etiquette of respecting our master, how improper would that be? That's right. Etiquette can't be abandoned. Gue Longping nodded. Since it had become a fact, it couldn't be changed. Moreover, Lien Rinshan must have his reasons for doing so. How could it be so simple for him to become the sect master of the Sky Sword sect? Furthermore, Yang Hongwu had casually taken out such a precious pill, which made him extremely envious. If he had such a pill, he would have a 50% chance of breaking through to the invincible martial monarch realm within 10 years or even more. In this way, Yang Hongwu would become their grandmaster. If Yang Hongwu entered the Sky Sword sect and didn't become a grandmaster, how could they have the face to ask a junior for a pill? Since Yang Hongwu became Lien Rinshan's master, he was their grandmaster. It was reasonable for a disciple to ask for benefits from their grandmaster. They weren't that stupid. It was just a title. Compared to the actual benefits, what was it worth? It was an opportunity to break through to the Great Saint Realm. What was in Great Emperor Realm? It was an existence that stood at the peak of the common people's continent. How many great emperors were there in this continent? In the common people's continent, other than the central continent, the other 4 continents didn't have many great emperors. Their continent was one of the 4 continents other than the central continent. Moreover, it was the place with the thinnest spiritual chi. The few major powers didn't have a single great emperor realm expert. Now that their master Lien Rinshan had broken through and became an invincible great emperor, it meant that their Sky Sword sect had become the #1 power in this continent. If there were a few more invincible great emperors, then the Sky Sword sect could even become the #1 power in the common people's continent. They could see that Yang Hongwu was a monstrous existence. Just like what Bai Yunjian said, he was a peerless genius, a true peerless genius. Moreover, there is a 99% chance that Yang Hongwu was the reincarnation of a peerless expert, a true God Realm expert. As for what level of true God expert he was, they didn't know. It wouldn't be a loss to have such a peerless expert as their old ancestor. They guessed that Yang Hongwu's original cultivation was probably much stronger than their old ancestor. A true god, TSK. Even if his cultivation hadn't recovered, it was still shocking. As long as they could get some pointers from him, they would benefit immensely. Lien Rinshan, because of Yang Hongwu's pointers, just a few words, he broke through the shackles, the bottleneck that had been stuck for many years, and broke through to the invincible Great Emperor realm in one fell swoop. To be able to cultivate to their level, which one of them was a fool? They were now sure that the great change in the flaming divine mountain was related to him. The sudden disappearance of the divine fire was probably because Yang Hongwu had taken it. Huidanzi wasn't a fool when he saw Gue Longping and the others behaving this way. He hurriedly knelt down and said, Senior, please accept me as your disciple. Gue Longping glared at him and said, Old Hua, you're wrong. If you acknowledge my old ancestor as your master, wouldn't I be 1 generation lower than you for no reason? One had to know that he and Huidanzi were of the same generation. The two of them were very good friends who had gone through life and death together. If Wu Danzi acknowledged Yang Hongwu as his master, wouldn't he become his martial uncle? Therefore, when he heard Wu Danzi's words, Gue Longping glared at him. That's nothing. I want to acknowledge Yang Senior as my master because I want to learn his alchemy skills. Senior Yang has already reached the pinnacle of alchemy. Wu Danzi didn't care when he saw that Gue Longping was angry. Instead, he looked at Yang Hongwu and said, Senior, please accept me as your disciple and teach me alchemy skills. Yang Hongwu didn't know whether to laugh or cry when he saw this. These guys really made him feel helpless. They were already so old, but they still played such tricks. Get up, all of you get up. Yang Hongwu said, I've said it before. My cultivation base is only at the Great Saint Realm. All of you, on the other hand, are great emperors. If news of you taking me as your master spreads out, you'll be humiliated and become a laughingstock. Who dares? Lian Rinshan's eyes shot out a terrifying cold light. I'll kill whoever dares to laugh at me. Now that Lian Rinshan was an invincible great emperor realm expert, no one on this continent dared to laugh at him. If he knew about this, they would have to face his wrath. Indeed, not many people could withstand the wrath of an invincible great emperor. Even first-rate sects couldn't withstand it. No one would be stupid enough to offend an invincible great emperor over such a small matter. That's right, Senior. Please accept me, Wu Danzi said. If you don't agree, I won't get up. Suddenly, Yang Hongwu's face changed. The flaming sacred mountain had already turned into an iceberg. At this moment, the iceberg started to sway and was about to collapse. Not good. The flaming sacred mountain is about to collapse. We have to leave quickly. Yang Hongwu hugged by Iran and instantly moved away. Originally, he had already broken through to the Great Saint Realm and his combat strength had increased greatly. He was prepared to try to obtain the source of all evil. However, he didn't expect that the flaming sacred mountain would change again. More importantly, Yang Hongwu could no longer sense the existence of the source of all evil. Chapter 1349. The ancient mountain's demonic. Might everyone sense the danger and fled. The instant they left the blazing godly mountain, the entire blazing godly mountain crumbled. The entire space was annihilated. Seeing this scene, everyone was stunned and rejoiced. If they were a step later, they would have been heavily injured and might have even been sucked into the spatial turbulence. This was no laughing matter. Terrifying. What's going on? Murmured by Yunjian. Yeah, the blazing sacred mountain has collapsed. This space has also collapsed. From now on, the blazing sacred mountain will no longer exist. Wu Danzi and the others guessed that this was because the divine fire had been taken away. The reason why the blazing sacred mountain existed was because of the divine fire. Now that the divine fire was gone, it was normal for this space to collapse. Master, follow me back to the Sky Sword sect. Lian Rinshan looked at Yang Hongwu and said, Senior Yang, please accept me as your disciple. Wu Danzi was still determined to become Yang Hongwu's disciple. At this moment, Yang Hongwu couldn't care less about this. He said, I still have things to do. Just now, when the void collapsed, I lost something and it escaped into the void. I don't know where it went. I have to find that thing. That thing is very important to me. It's the key for me to break through to the Emperor realm. In truth, the source of all evil curses wasn't that important to Yang Hongwu. However, Wu Danzi and the others were pestering Yang Hongwu. Thus, he could only say this to get rid of their entanglement. Master, what's that thing? We can find it for you. My Sky Sword sect is spread all over this continent. I can mobilize the strength of the entire Sky Sword sect to find that treasure for you. Lian Rinshan hastily said after hearing Yang Hongwu's words. That's right, Master Ancestor. Right now, Master Ancestor needs to raise his cultivation base. There are countless resources in the Heaven Sword sect that can be provided to Master Ancestor. There's also a godly flame. I'm sure it'll be of great help to Master Ancestor. Gue Longping echoed. He also wanted to get some benefits from Yang Hongwu. He also wanted to become an invincible great emperor. However, if he relied on himself to cultivate, it would take him thousands of years or even longer. If he could get Yang Hongwu's help and guidance, then he should be able to save a lot of time. More importantly, Yang Hongwu was so heaven-defying. He was definitely an excellent teacher. With his guidance, the strength of the disciples of the Heavenly Sword sect would definitely increase greatly. This was because he knew that Yang Hongwu's cultivation base was only at the initial stage of the Saint Realm. However, his cultivation base had made a huge breakthrough in such a short period of time. He seemed to have no bottlenecks in his cultivation. This was related to his aptitude, but also to his perception and experience. If such a person could give some guidance to some disciples, it would definitely be a great opportunity for the disciples of the Heaven Sword sect. If Master is really unwilling, then this disciple will go with Master to find that treasure. Lien Rinshan said, Senior Lien is right. I'm also willing to go with Master. Hu Danzi also said. Yang Hongwu smiled bitterly. In any case, each of them was a super expert. How could they be so shameless? All right, I'll go to the Heaven Sword sect first. Yang Hongwu thought for a while. Going to the Heaven Sword sect wasn't without benefits. He needed to break through to the Great Emperor realm now. He needed to consume a huge amount of energy. It was too difficult for him to obtain so much energy with his current strength. Going to the Heaven Sword sect wasn't a bad choice. At least as a powerful sect, it still had a foundation. It should be much stronger than the Fire God dynasty. Moreover, there was a divine fire in the Heaven Sword sect. If this divine fire was devoured by the fiery lotus, it might be able to upgrade the red lotus of fire to the 13th grade. Therefore, it was worth a trip to the Heaven Sword sect. Now, he was pressed for time. The fire god that was sealed in the Fire God dynasty was very powerful. He was constantly struggling to break the seal. Once the guy broke the seal, he would be in trouble. Yang Hongwu faintly had a bad premonition. It was related to the cursed source of all evil. This cursed source of all evil would probably have a great impact on him. It made him feel a little uneasy. This was definitely a bad omen. Something was definitely going to happen. This kind of premonition was very sensitive. Yang Hongwu didn't know how many times he had experienced it. As for what kind of danger it was, Yang Hongwu didn't know. That's great. Gue Longping and the others were overjoyed. Only Hu Danzi looked helpless. He was the great consecrator of the Fire God dynasty. He couldn't possibly follow Yang Hongwu to the Heaven Sword sect, right? Moreover, the Fire God dynasty was still in a crisis. Although Zhong Wang's rebellion had been repelled, Zhong Wang was still alive. Second brother Chu, third brother Lin, and the others were still alive. They were very powerful. If they launched another attack on the Fire God dynasty, Song Lingwu wouldn't be able to withstand it without him protecting the Fire God dynasty. Therefore, he couldn't leave the Fire God dynasty for too long. Master! Hu Danzi looked at Yang Hongwu with a bitter face. His expression gave everyone goosebumps. You're a peak, great Emperor Realm expert, the great consecrator of the Fire God dynasty, the strongest expert. How could you act like this? Aren't you afraid of being ridiculed? Don't, great consecrator. It's better if you don't call me master. How about this? I have some pill recipes and some knowledge of alchemy here. I'll give them to you. Yang Hongwu was getting impatient, but he had no other choice. These guys really made him speechless. Moreover, he owed Hu Danzi a favor when he was in the Fire God dynasty. If it wasn't for Hu Danzi, he wouldn't have broken through so quickly and wouldn't have obtained the red karmic fire lotus. Thank you, Master. Don't call me Master. How could I deserve it? Yang Hongwu was really helpless. He had never seen such a situation. Some old guys forced a great Emperor Realm expert to become a disciple of a great Saint Realm expert. All right. Master Yang, I'll remember it. Thank you, Master Yang. Hu Danzi was overjoyed at the moment. He only took a glance and realized that the things that Yang Hongwu gave him were definitely very precious. Those few pill recipes were all extraordinary pills. They were ancient pill recipes that had been lost for a long time. The pill concoction method was even more extraordinary as it was an ancient technique. After parting ways with Hu Danzi, Yang Hongwu, Bai Yunjian, and the others headed towards the Sky Sword sect. At this moment, in an ancient mountain that was shrouded by evil energy, dense demonic qi filled the air. The entire ancient mountain was filled with a terrifying demonic aura. A ray of light instantly rushed into the ancient mountain. Chapter 1350. Sword Chi. Right after the origin of all evil and curses entered the demon mountain, a monstrous devil Chi burst out. This monstrous devil Chi shocked the entire continent. Each and every one of the old antiques were frightened by this monstrous devil Chi. What a terrifying devil Chi. Could it be that the ancient devil has awakened? At this moment, Bai Yunjian, Yang Hongwu, and the rest were still on their way. When they felt this monstrous devil Chi, their faces changed. The sky of the common people's continent is about to change. With the birth of this devil, I'm afraid there will be a bloody storm in the common people's continent. Lien, Rinshan murmured. Let's go. Let's hurry back to the sect. Gue Longping said. Half a day later, the group arrived at the Sky Sword sect. The mountain where the Sky Sword sect was located was like a gigantic sword. This spiritual mountain was called the Sky Sword Peak, and the Sky Sword sect was located at the peak of this mountain. How is it, young ancestor? How is our Sky Sword sect? This is the Heavenly Sword Peak. Rumor has it that the Heavenly Sword Peak was formed by a divine sword that descended from the heavens. Back then, the founder of my Heavenly Sword sect comprehended the Tao of the sword here and founded the Heavenly Sword sect, said Gue Longping. What a dense sword Chi here. Yang Hongwu looked at the mountain and was shocked. The sword Chi here was too shocking. Yang Hongwu could faintly feel that this mountain contained a supreme sword Tao law. However, this supreme sword Tao law wasn't something that ordinary people could comprehend. Of course, our Heavenly Sword sect has a sword tomb. Inside the sword tomb, there are countless ancient swords. The dense sword Chi comes from the sword tomb. Anyone who cultivates the sword will be able to sense the sword Chi in the sword tomb. If they are fated, they can obtain the recognition of the treasured swords in the sword tomb and obtain a supreme treasured sword. Gue Longping said, Young ancestor, you can enter the sword tomb and obtain a treasured sword that belongs to you. Yang Hongwu shook his head and said, No need. I don't specialize in the sword Tao. Therefore, there is no need for me to seek a treasured sword. Yang Hongwu practiced saber techniques and, of course, spear techniques. His saber art was his main art, and his spear art was his secondary art. In addition, his fists and kicks were also very shocking. Sect Master, Grandmaster, seeing that Gue Longping and the others had returned, the guarding disciple said happily. Gue Longping patted the disciple's shoulder and said, Well, not bad. Little Lin, you have made a big breakthrough again. Work hard and strive to advance to the great saint realm in a year. Many thanks, Sect Master. I will definitely work hard. The disciple who was guarding the mountain was incomparably emotional as he said loudly, Grandmaster, you're back. That's great. Something's happened. Just then, a disciple rushed over hurriedly. When he saw Gue Longping and Lien Rinshan, he was overjoyed. What is it? Why are you in such a hurry? Gue Longping's face sank as he looked at the person who had come. The person who had come was Yin Biao, a true disciple of the Sky Sword sect. He was extremely talented. Although he couldn't be compared to Bai Yunjian, he could be considered as one of the top 5 disciples in the Sky Sword sect. Yin Biao had always been very calm, but this time he was in such a hurry that he was a little dissatisfied. For a martial artist, calmness was the most important thing. Those who weren't calm enough, were impatient, and couldn't remain calm in the face of danger would often die quickly. Therefore, for this kind of reckless disciple, no matter how outstanding his talent was, it was generally very difficult for him to grow. Therefore, ever since Gue Longping became the sect master, he had always asked his disciples to remain calm in the face of trouble. No matter what happened, they must remain calm and not be impatient. Sect master, it's like this. Something happened to the sword tomb. Yin Biao said, Something happened to the sword tomb? Hearing this, Gue Longping couldn't remain calm. The sword tomb was one of the most important places in the Sky Sword sect. If something happened to the sword tomb, wouldn't it be terrible? Yes, sect master. All the elders are helpless. Yin Biao said, When did this happen? Gue Longping asked. What exactly happened? What are you still talking about? Let's go to the sword tomb, Lien Rinshan said. After saying that, Lien Rinshan rushed towards the sky sword peak with Yang Hongwu and the others behind him. Soon, they arrived at the sword tomb of the sky sword sect. Sect master, Elder Lien. Seeing Gue Longping and the others arrive, the group of elders stood out. What the hell is going on? As soon as the voice fell, a terrifying sword chi burst out from the sword tomb. Gue Longping was shocked. Be careful. The few of them hurriedly dodged, barely dodging the sword chi. They only saw that the sword chi had instantly pierced through a stone mountain. Hiss! Everyone sucked in a breath of cold air. This sword chi was so terrifying. If it didn't dodge it, their stomachs would have been sliced open. Sect master, I don't know what happened. Originally, I was going to the sword tomb to retrieve the sword. However, I didn't expect to encounter a sword chi riot as soon as I entered the sword tomb. The sword chi in the sword tomb went berserk, and a few of my junior brothers died in the sword chi riot. As for me, I managed to escape from the sword tomb in time to save my life. If I had been a step later, I'm afraid I would have died like my junior brothers. Yin Biao said. Thinking of this, his heart still palpitated. He almost died in the sword tomb. Sword tomb going berserk? How is that possible? Lien Rinshan looked at the sword tomb and frowned. Do you know the reason for the sword chi riot? The group of elders shook their heads. No, there's no news. Moreover, we have no way to enter the sword tomb. The sword chi is too terrifying. Once you step into the sword tomb, your body will be pierced by the sword chi and you will die without a burial place. Therefore, none of us can enter the sword tomb, let alone find out the reason for the sword chi riot. An elder said, Can I go in and take a look? At this time, Yang Hongwu said. When the group of elders heard Yang Hongwu's words, they noticed that there were two strangers beside Gue Longping. The man and woman were extremely good-looking. Sect leader, is this your new disciple? An elder asked. They are my master, Lien Rinshan said at this time. Elder Lien's master? Some of the elders were surprised when they heard Lien Rinshan's words. One of them said, Lien Rinshan, didn't your master pass away a long time ago? I just became his disciple. Why can't I? Lien Rinshan looked at the elder. This elder was called Luo Linkai and was Lien Rinshan's opponent. However, Luo Linkai's strength was weaker than Lien Rinshan's. All along, the two of them had been fighting endlessly. However, most of the time, Lien Rinshan had the upper hand. Chapter 1351. Respected elder, old man, show some respect. This is my master. Lien Rinshan's terrifying aura burst out and shrouded Luo Linkai. Boom! This powerful aura pushed Luo Linkai back a few steps. He spat out a mouthful of blood and looked at Lien Rinshan in shock. He couldn't believe it and shouted, How is this possible? You, Lien Rinshan, how are you so strong? Have you broken through to the invincible Emperor realm? Humph, Lien Rinshan snorted coldly. That's right, I've already broken through. Not long ago, I broke through under the guidance of my master. Luo Linkai, you dare to disrespect my master. If it weren't for our old friendship, I would have killed you. Everyone was shocked when they heard this. Elder Lien Rinshan had actually broken through to the invincible Great Emperor realm under the guidance of that young man. This was simply too shocking. Could that young man be an old antique? Did he deliberately restrain his aura and conceal his cultivation base? The Great Sage realm aura that he exposed was just a cover for the others? To be able to make Elder Lien Rinshan so respectful and help him break through to the invincible Emperor realm, could that young man be a half-step true God realm expert? If that was the case, then their Sky Sword sect had made a huge profit. A half-step true God realm expert. In its Sangshan continent, other than the central continent, the other 4 continents didn't have a half-step true God realm expert. In their continent, there wasn't even an invincible Great Emperor realm expert. Now, Elder Lien Rinshan had broken through the shackles and became an invincible Great Emperor. This meant that the Sky Sword sect had become the strongest sect in this continent. Big profit. This time, the Sky Sword sect had really made a huge profit. Not only did they have an invincible Emperor realm expert, but they also had a half-step true God realm expert. These old-timers were all delighted. To them, this wasn't the greatest benefit. The greatest benefit was that with a half-step true God expert, they would be able to take him as their master. Wouldn't they be able to seek guidance from him? They were old now, and their lifespan would not last much longer. If they could obtain the guidance of a half-step true God, they would be able to break through their shackles and make a breakthrough in their cultivation. That would be the real benefit. It was something they yearned for day and night. Who would want to die? Senior, no, Uncle Master, I was wrong just now. Please forgive me. Was Luo Linkai a fool? No, of course he was not a fool. On the contrary, he was much smarter than others. Otherwise, he would not have cultivated to such a level and achieved his current status. Therefore, when he found out that Yang Hongwu was helping Lien Rinshan break through to the invincible Emperor realm, and that he was most likely a half-step true God realm expert, he immediately changed his attitude. Shameless. Lien Rinshan was disgusted by Luo Linkai's behavior. The reason why he and Luo Linkai were rivals was because he could not bear to see Luo Linkai's face. Yang Hongwu was also surprised. He did not expect this old man to be so shameless. He was just mocking him a moment ago, and now he was flattering him like a dog. It made him speechless. This was the first time he had seen such a shameless person. Uncle Master. The others were not fools either. One by one, they began to call out, Uncle Master! Uncle Master! Yang Hongwu didn't know whether to laugh or cry. He was speechless at the sight of these old-timers kneeling before him, even though they were all old-timers. Cough, cough, get up. All of you get up. Yang Hongwu said helplessly. This was the first time he had encountered such a weird situation. Did the Sky Sword sect have such a tradition? However, he had to admit that this method was effective. As the saying goes, one does not slap a smiling face. These guys had just met, and they had already acknowledged their old ancestor. Even if Yang Hongwu did not want to deal with them, he could not bear to do so. It was absolutely impossible for such a thing to happen in other sections, especially for those powerhouses, some geniuses, and those old antiques. Their status was high and lofty. How could they bow down to a seemingly young expert whose cultivation was merely at the great sage realm? Yang Hongwu knew that such a sect could rise easily. Of course, it was difficult for such a sect to produce a peerless genius or a super expert. No peerless evildoer or peerless powerhouse would have such a mentality. However, if every martial artist in a sect had such an attitude, then the sect would be able to develop easily. Moreover, the inheritance would definitely last for a long time. The important thing now is to deal with the sword tomb. As for Master's matter, let's talk about it after this matter is settled. Lien Rinshan said. Master is right. As for Grandmaster's matter, let's wait until the matter of the sword tomb is settled. Once the matter of the sword tomb is settled, I will hold a grand ceremony to make Grandmaster a revered elder of my Sky Sword sect, Gue Longping said loudly. Lien Rinshan was very satisfied with these words. However, the others were very surprised. A revered elder was a very high status. If he became a revered elder, he would be able to mobilize all the forces of the Sky Sword sect and have supreme authority. His status was incomparably respected, just like an emperor in the secular world. Yang Hongwu was also shocked. He did not expect that Gue Longping would be given such a high status by a stranger like him. This was really too shocking. The status of a revered elder was above the elder's assembly and the sect master. This, cough cough, sect master, I can't agree to this matter. The title revered elder doesn't suit me. I'm just an outsider. If I become a revered elder of the Sky Sword sect, what will the other disciples think? Besides, the other elders won't agree. I'm not a member of the Sky Sword sect, and I haven't made any contributions to the Sky Sword sect. Therefore, I won't agree to this position. Although Yang Hongwu did not know what Gue Longping was thinking and what he was planning, he knew that no matter what, Yang Hongwu would not become a revered elder of the Sky Sword sect. Moreover, there was no such thing as a free lunch in the world. As the sect master, Gue Longping had a high status. How could he let an unfamiliar outsider become a revered elder of the Sky Sword sect? It would be strange if there wasn't a conspiracy behind this. Does old ancestor look down on our sky sword sect? Gue Longping asked. Master, Lien Rinshan was also disappointed. This matter, let's think about it at length. Luo Lin spoke at this time. After all, Martial Uncle doesn't know our sky sword sect well. Once he understands our sky sword sect, he will definitely agree to become a revered elder of our sky sword sect. Chapter 1352. Sword Talisman. I want to enter the sword catacomb. How about it? Yang Hongwu looked at the crowd and said, No, master. The sword tomb is filled with dangers right now. The sword chi is chaotic. Even if an invincible emperor were to enter the sword tomb, he would definitely die. It's way too dangerous. Lien Rinshan shook his head, his voice revealing a trace of fear. After all, he had just broken through to the invincible Great Emperor realm. He did not expect such a thing to happen in the Sky Sword sect. Yang Hongwu said, Since I brought it up, I'm confident. Although the sword chi is overbearing, it can't hurt me. To Yang Hongwu, this was an excellent opportunity to refine his body. Although Yang Hongwu was not a swordsman, he had a certain understanding of swordsmanship. Moreover, Yang Hongwu had once obtained a secret body-refining technique called the Immortal Sword Body. Although the Immortal Sword Body was not as good as the Immortal Dragon Body that he had cultivated, it was just right for the current situation. The Immortal Sword Body used sword chi to refine the body to the point of using the body as a sword. However, the Immortal Sword Body was not something an ordinary person could cultivate. First, one must have a strong will, a strong body, and a certain understanding of Sword Tao. If one lacked any of the three, it was almost impossible to cultivate the Immortal Sword Body. Seeing Yang Hongwu's confidence, Gue Longping and the others looked at each other, then said to Yang Hongwu, Master Ancestor, you have to think carefully. The sword tomb is filled with chaotic sword chi. It's very dangerous. Even an invincible great emperor will die if he enters. If he can't withstand it, his body will be penetrated by the sword chi. Unless he has the legendary sword body, he won't be able to survive. Although I don't have a sword body, the sword chi can't hurt me. As Yang Hongwu spoke, a beam of light enveloped him as a palace appeared above his head. This was the heavenly palace of destruction. Of course, Bai Yunjian recognized this treasure. He had seen with his own eyes how Yang Hongwu had used this palace to block a powerful attack. Therefore, he knew how strong this palace was. However, although the palace was strong and had a shocking defense, it might not be able to withstand the endless sword chi in the sword tomb. A real treasure? Seeing Yang Hongwu take out this item, Lien Rinshan, as an invincible great emperor, naturally felt the power of this treasure. This aura was definitely stronger than an emperor weapon. That's right. This is my Destruction Heaven Palace. It's a supreme treasure, with amazing defense. Although I can't say I can come and go freely, I should be able to protect myself. Yang Hongwu said confidently. All right, Master Ancestor. Although Lien Rinshan was Lien Rinshan was God, Emperor God. Bai Yunjian, on the other hand, was somewhat worried. However, among the people present, he was the lowest in seniority. No matter how outstanding his talent was, he had no right to speak. Thus, he remained silent. Yang Hongwu pulled Bai Yiran up and entered the sword tomb in a flash. Before Gue Longping and the others could react, Yang Hongwu and Bai Yiran had entered the sword tomb. Lien Rinshan and the others were dumbfounded. They didn't expect that Yang Hongwu didn't go in alone. Instead, he brought Bai Yiran with him. After Yang Hongwu and Bai Yiran entered the sword tomb, streaks of sword chi swept towards them. Yang Hongwu waved his hand, and the Destruction Heaven Palace protected Bai Yiran. Yang Hongwu didn't block the sword chi and allowed it to enter his body. Bai Yiran looked at Yang Hongwu. Although she was very worried, she knew that he must have his reasons for doing so. He must have enough confidence to do so. After the sword chi entered Yang Hongwu's body, Yang Hongwu began to operate his cultivation method. This was the cultivation method of the Immortal Sword Body. Originally, Yang Hongwu could also use the sword chi to cultivate the Immortal Dragon Body. However, Using the sword chi to cultivate the immortal dragon body was far less effective than cultivating the immortal sword body. Yang Hongwu's body felt as if it was being cut by countless sharp swords. The sword chi washed over his body, and the intense pain was unbearable. Even someone as strong-willed as Yang Hongwu found it difficult to bear. It should be known that Yang Hongwu was a cultivator of the body's secret technique. To refine his body, he naturally had to use all kinds of extreme forces to refine his body. In this way, he would have to endure great pain. In the past, when Yang Hongwu cultivated the Pangareel body and the immortal dragon body, he had to endure great pain to refine his body. However, compared to this time, when he cultivated the immortal sword body and used sword chi to refine his body, it was much less painful. Husband, Bai Yiran naturally knew that the reason Yang Hongwu allowed the sword chi to enter his body and even took the initiative to let the sword chi enter his body was to use the sword chi to temper his body and cultivate a body secret technique. However, when she saw Yang Hongwu's distorted face, she was still very worried. However, before Bai Yiran could finish her words, Yang Hongwu gritted his teeth and said, "Still, don't worry. I can endure it. The immortal sword body is indeed extraordinary. If I can absorb and refine all the sword chi in the sword tomb, my body will reach a higher level." "Husband, if you can't endure it, let's go out," Bai Yiran said. "Yes, I know that. However, I can feel an astonishing sword chi in the depths of the sword tomb. This sword chi is extremely powerful. I'm afraid it's the source of the abnormality in the sword tomb." Why did Yang Hongwu want to enter the sword tomb? Firstly, he wanted to use the sword chi to temper his body. Secondly, it was because of this powerful sword chi. Yang Hongwu felt that this powerful sword chi was no weaker than the scroll of good fortune. Therefore, Yang Hongwu tried every possible means to enter the sword tomb. Even if Lien Rinshan and the others had not agreed, Yang Hongwu would have found an opportunity to sneak into the sword tomb. The sword chi in the sword tomb was comparable to the scroll of good fortune and the divine talisman. Therefore, Yang Hongwu was sure that it was a supreme treasure. Perhaps there was a powerful divine sword in the sword tomb, or perhaps there was a sword talisman. Chapter 1353. Seal. The two of them continued to move forward. Yang Hongwu continued to absorb and refine the sword energy, allowing his fleshly body to continuously improve. His cultivation base was also gradually increasing. Although he was still far from breaking through, it was only a matter of time before he broke through. This is the center of the sword catacomb. Yang Hongwu saw a huge rock in the center. The aura came from this huge rock. Yang Hongwu could clearly see that there was a crack on the huge rock. The terrifying aura came from that crack. What a terrifying sword will. Bai Yiran felt the terrifying sword chi, and her face turned serious. Yang Hongwu was the same. It was unknown what was sealed under this huge rock. Perhaps what was sealed was a terrifying sword, or perhaps it was the legendary sword talisman, or even the sword will of a powerful cultivator. "Yiran, wait for me here," Yang Hongwu said to Bai Yiran. "Be careful." Bai Yiran nodded. Yang Hongwu nodded and walked towards the huge rock. Powerful sword chi burst out from the crack and drilled into Yang Hongwu's body. Yang Hongwu activated the immortal sword body and devoured the sword chi. Crack! It was as if something in Yang Hongwu's body had been broken. Yang Hongwu knew that the shackles of his body had been broken. At this moment, Yang Hongwu's body had become even stronger. The immortal dragon body was also activated. Yang Hongwu's immortal sword body cultivation method had begun to merge with the immortal dragon body secret method. Yang Hongwu was overjoyed. He didn't expect to encounter such a good thing. Yang Hongwu didn't rush over. Instead, he stayed where he was. Bai Yiran was originally very worried, but when she saw the changes in Yang Hongwu's aura, she couldn't help but be overjoyed. Of course, she could see that Yang Hongwu's strength had broken through. Whoosh! At this moment, a ray of light rushed out from the crack of the huge rock. This ray of light looked like a sharp sword. However, Yang Hongwu knew that it wasn't a sword, but a body of energy. Sword will. Yang Hongwu was shocked. This wasn't sword chi, but sword will. Although sword chi and sword will only differed by one word, it was a world of its own. Sword will was much stronger than sword chi. So what if it's sword will? Refine it. Yang Hongwu stretched. Then Yang Hongwu's spiritual energy, as if a giant furnace. Then his spiritual energy erupted. Then Yang Yang's will. Was Yang Yang's was Yang Yang Nangong NN. Great NN. He had broken through a small realm. Yang Hongwu was overjoyed. This sword will was much stronger than sword chi. If he could refine all the sword will, he might be able to break through 2 small realms. Yang Hongwu went to the side of the huge rock. Looking at the huge rock, Yang Hongwu used his spiritual energy to investigate the huge rock. When Yang Hongwu's spiritual energy entered the huge rock, he felt a terrifying sword will. This sword will shattered his spiritual energy. Yang Hongwu's face turned pale. He spat out a mouthful of blood. He was shocked, terrifying. He didn't know what was sealed in the huge rock. The sword will of this thing was so strong. His spiritual energy didn't have the slightest resistance in front of this terrifying sword will. It was shattered in an instant. This was too terrifying. Husband, seeing Yang Hongwu spit out blood, Bai Yiran was worried. In a flash, she appeared beside Yang Hongwu. How are you? I'm fine. Don't worry. Yang Hongwu shook his head. Move aside. I'm going to break this huge rock to see what it is. Husband, it's better to be careful. Bai Yiran said. If something happens to you, what will happen to me? What will happen to the sisters in the future? Bai Yiran had a bad premonition. This premonition was very rare. However, every time it appeared, something bad would happen. Therefore, Bai Yiran was very worried. She didn't want Yang Hongwu to take the risk. However, she knew that Yang Hongwu wouldn't change his mind easily once he decided on something. I'll set up a formation. Yang Hongwu knew what Bai Yiran was thinking. After nodding, he took out a formation plate and formed seals. He set up a lightning formation. This lightning formation also had a Dragon's Gate formation. This Dragon's Gate formation was set up with the Dragon's Gate as the foundation. If something happened, Yang Hongwu could activate the formation and use the Dragon's Gate's power to resist. Yang Hongwu could even escape into the Dragon's Gate in an instant. Break for me. After Yang Hongwu finished setting up the formation, he condensed a powerful dermic power in his hands. This dermic power condensed into 2 huge fists and fiercely punched the huge rock. Bang! The powerful force bombarded the huge rock. However, it didn't shake the huge rock at all. Instead, it produced a shocking rebound force that sent Yang Hongwu flying. Puffed. This huge rebound force caused Yang Hongwu to suffer heavy injuries. Yang Hongwu was shocked. This huge rock was beyond his expectations. He had attacked with all his strength, but this blow didn't even shake the huge rock at all. Seal. The moment Yang Hongwu was sent flying, he saw the power of the seal. This seal was so mysterious. It was so powerful. The entire huge rock was a seal. If the power of the seal hadn't rushed into his body and been sensed by Yang Hongwu, he wouldn't have been able to tell that this huge rock was a seal. What a powerful seal. What a mysterious seal. Yang Hongwu calmed his breathing and swallowed an elixir to stabilize the injuries in his body. Bai Yiran appeared beside Yang Hongwu. Husband, I'm fine. As Yang Hongwu spoke, he pointed to the huge rock and said, This is a seal. I don't know what's sealed inside. With my current strength, I have no way of opening the seal. No matter what it was, this seal and the thing inside the seal, if he could comprehend it, it would be a great benefit to Yang Hongwu. Take a look and see if you can comprehend the mystery of this seal. Yang Hongwu said to Bai Yiran. I'll try. Bai Yiran nodded. This huge rock was a supreme seal. As such, this seal was so powerful that even Yang Hongwu's all-out attack couldn't shake the seal in the slightest. It was obvious that this seal wasn't simple. It was most likely a supreme Tao. Chapter 1354. Divine Sword Tao. Still Yang Hongwu no longer try to break the seal, but try to comprehend it. If he could comprehend it, it would be of great help to him in the future. However, the sword intent that was constantly bursting out from the crack of the boulder was going against Yang Hongwu. It was impossible for him to comprehend it. Yang Hongwu had no choice but to crazily devour the sword intent to raise his cultivation and temper his physical body. As time passed, Yang Hongwu devoured a lot of sword intent. However, the time it took for him to refine the sword intent was getting slower and slower. Moreover, the sword intent that leaked out was getting more and more terrifying. These sword intents could actually hurt his soul. Every time he refined his sword intent, Yang Hongwu would suffer a lot of injuries. Those were injuries to his soul, and they weren't easy to recover from. Yang Hongwu's face was solemn. He smiled bitterly in his heart. He didn't expect the Sky Sword sect to be so simple. No, perhaps it was to say that this world wasn't that simple. Yang Hongwu sighed in his heart. He had already obtained a lot of treasures in this world. Now, he was more and more suspicious of his previous guess. Was this really the world in his Great Life Seal? Was it really the Common Life Domain? How could there be so many treasures in the world of the Great Life Seal? Moreover, many of them were supreme treasures that could make ghosts and gods weep. For example, the Scroll of Fortune, the Dragon Gate. For example, the thing in the seal right now. There is also the aura of the Divine Talisman. Every one of them was a supreme treasure. It could be said that every one of them was an existence comparable to the Great Life Seal. Even if they weren't as good as the Great Life Seal, they weren't too far off. At least, they were on the same level. Boom! Just as Yang Hongwu was thinking, the boulder suddenly exploded and shattered. A terrifying aura burst out from the boulder. Yang Hongwu's face changed drastically. He pulled Bai Ran and fled in an instant. It wasn't that Yang Hongwu didn't want to investigate what was sealed in the boulder, but the aura was too terrifying and powerful. Yang Hongwu had a feeling that if he were to stay behind, he would most likely be shattered into pieces by the terrifying thing and vanish into thin air. At this time, Yang Hongwu had already escaped from the Sword Tomb. At this moment, the entire Sky Sword Peak began to shake. Hurry up and leave the Sky Sword Peak. Yang Hongwu shouted to Gue Longping and the others after leaving the Sky Sword sect. What? Master, what's going on? Lien Rinshan's face was solemn. He could feel the terrifying aura. This terrifying aura was going to destroy the Sky Sword Peak. Everyone from the Sky Sword Peak turned pale. However, they knew that this was not the time to discuss. If they stayed, they might lose their lives. Let's leave the Sky Sword Peak first, said Yang Hongwu. The Sky Sword Peak is about to collapse. All the disciples of the Sky Sword Peak sensed this terrible disaster and frantically ran out of the Sky Sword Peak. After most of the people had escaped, the Heavenly Sword Peak collapsed. Gue Longping and the others were stunned when they saw the huge Sky Sword Peak collapsing. The Sky Sword Sect. The Sky Sword Sect was destroyed in my hands. How can I face the ancestors of the Sky Sword Sect? Gue Longping's body trembled as he spat out a mouthful of blood. Yang Hongwu. At this moment, Bai Yunjian's eyes were bloodshot as he stared at Yang Hongwu. Killing intent shrouded Yang Hongwu. Speak. What's going on? Did you destroy the Sky Sword Peak? Lien Rinshan and the others also looked at Yang Hongwu, each of them bursting with killing intent. Yang Hongwu smiled bitterly. He couldn't blame them. The Sky Sword Peak collapsed the moment he arrived. Anyone would be suspicious. Master, Lien Rinshan sighed when he saw Yang Hongwu's killing intent dissipating. Although he was indebted to Yang Hongwu and was now his master, if the Sky Sword Peak collapsed because of Yang Hongwu, he would repay kindness with enmity and kill Yang Hongwu. Sigh. Yang Hongwu sighed and looked at the crowd. The crisis hasn't been resolved yet. As for the collapse of the Sky Sword Peak, it has nothing to do with me. There's a terrible thing sealed in the Sword Tomb. It's the source of the Sword Chi's explosion and the cause of the Sky Sword Peak's collapse. As soon as he finished speaking, a huge stone tablet appeared where the Sky Sword Peak collapsed. This huge stone tablet was a huge sword. The Sword Dao Tablet. Bai Yunjian exclaimed when he saw the huge stone tablet after the Sky Sword Peak collapsed. It's really the Sword Dao Tablet? How is that possible? Gue Longping was also shocked. The Sword Dao Divine Steel was only a legendary item. It was rumored that before the common people's continent was split, a crack appeared in the heavens and earth. 3 treasures fell from the divine domain. One of the 3 treasures was the sword Tao divine steel. The sword Tao tablet was the supreme treasure of the sword Tao. It contained supreme laws and also supreme great Tao. Anyone who could comprehend the sword Tao tablet could become a supreme sword god. What a terrifying sword intent. I'm going to break through. Under the majestic sword intent, some cultivators who had reached the limit of their cultivation and were only a step away from breaking through broke through the shackles and bottlenecks. They entered a higher realm. Gui Longping and another peak Great Emperor expert broke through the shackles and entered the invincible Great Emperor realm under the terrifying sword intent of the Sword Tao tablet. In this way, the Sky Sword sect had 3 more invincible Great Emperors. At this moment, no one blamed Yang Hongwu anymore, and the appearance of this sword Tao divine steel exploded with a shocking sword intent. When this sword intent exploded, all the experts in the Tsangshan continent could feel it. The experts in the Central Continent and the other 3 continents could feel the aura of the Sword Tao tablet. Great! I didn't expect the Sword Tao tablet to be in my Sky Sword sect. Gui Longping murmured happily. Don't be happy too early. Seeing that the disciples of the Sky Sword sect were overjoyed, Yang Hongwu said coldly, the divine Sword Tao steel is a divine object. Although I don't know who sealed the divine Sword Tao steel here, it's not a good thing for all of you now that the seal has been lifted and the divine Sword Tao steel is released. Master, you mean? Lien Rinshan thought of something and his face changed slightly. The other old antiques' faces also changed. Although they were happy and excited, they weren't fools. On the contrary, those who could cultivate to their level were all cunning old foxes. Although the Sword Tao tablet was precious and powerful, it wasn't something they could protect. Moreover, how terrifying would the person who sealed the Sword Tao tablet be? Chapter 1355. Enraged, the appearance of the Sword Tao steel wasn't a good thing for the Sky Sword sect. Instead, it was a huge disaster. But to give up the steel? To relocate the Sky Sword sect? Would they be willing to do so? The answer was obvious. No, absolutely not. This was the foundation of the Sky Sword sect. They wouldn't give it up. Moreover, the Sword Tao steel was a supreme treasure. How could they give it up? No cultivator was willing to give up such a powerful treasure. Even Rinshan wasn't willing to do so. You're here for the Sword Tao steel? An elder looked at Yang Hongwu and asked. When the others heard this, they remembered that Yang Hongwu had taken a huge risk to enter the Sword Tomb. It turned out that he actually knew about the existence of the Sword Tao divine steel. In order to obtain the Sword Tao divine steel, he took such a huge risk to enter it. If not for this, who would be willing to risk their lives to enter a place where there was a high chance of survival? Therefore, the people of the Sky Sword sect guessed that Yang Hongwu had entered the Sword Tomb to obtain the Sword Tao steel. However, due to some special reasons, or perhaps because the Sword Tao steel was too powerful, he couldn't obtain it. This led to an accident that caused the Sword Tao steel to appear. Even Bai Yunjian was a little suspicious. Gui Longping even guessed that Yang Hongwu had refused to come to the Sky Sword sect because he was playing hard to get. Looking at these people, Yang Hongwu smiled bitterly. These guys really thought that he had come to the Sky Sword sect for the Sword Tao steel. However, he didn't deny that he had entered the Sword Tomb because he sensed the existence of the Sword Tao steel. However, he didn't know that it was the Sword Tao steel. Capture him, an old man ordered. That's right. We can't let him spread the news of the Sword Tao steel. The Sword Tao steel belongs to our Sky Sword sect. Another elder also stared at Yang Hongwu and Bai Yiran. The sword in his hand was already unsheathed. What? Do you want to attack me? Yang Hongwu's eyes shot out a cold light. How shameless, Bai Yiran said coldly. You shameless people repay kindness with ingratitude. You're worse than pigs and dogs. Little girl, you're courting death. An elder flew into a rage out of humiliation, and he swung his sword at Bai Yiran. When Yang Hongwu saw this, he snorted coldly and released a terrifying killing intent. He stretched out his right hand and flicked his finger. Jingshan finger. This finger seemed to have erupted from the ancient god domain. It contained a terrifying force that could annihilate everything and kill all the gods. Boom! With a loud bang, the old man was sent flying by Yang Hongwu's finger. He crashed into a distant mountain peak, and it was unknown whether he was dead or alive. Everyone was shocked. Although this old man wasn't the strongest, he was definitely one of the strongest in the Sky Sword sect. He was a late-stage Emperor Realm expert. However, in front of Yang Hongwu, he couldn't even block a single attack. Powerful, too powerful. This kid was indeed not just a great saint. His great saint realm cultivation was just a disguise. He was pretending to be weak. After sending the old man flying, Yang Hongwu didn't let him go. With a flash, he waved his right hand and a saber chi burst out, instantly cutting off the old man's head. This series of actions happened in just a breath's time. Lien Rinshan and the others couldn't stop it in time. Master, Lien Rinshan smiled bitterly. You're too heavy-handed. He's just a moment of impulse. Lien Rinshan looked at Yang Hongwu in horror. His master was getting more and more mysterious. Even though he had broken through to the unrivaled Emperor realm, he didn't have the slightest confidence that he could deal with Yang Hongwu. It was even more so for Bai Yunjian. Yang Hongwu's strength was too terrifying. He had hidden most of his cultivation before this. He even suspected that Yang Hongwu was a true divinity powerhouse that came down from the realm of the gods, and he had only sealed his own cultivation. Even if he had sealed his cultivation, his combat strength was still very terrifying. Moreover, he could unseal his cultivation at any time. However, due to the restrictions of the law, he could not truly unseal his cultivation. Once he did, it would cause a certain impact to him. Kill him, kill him. Meanwhile, the disciples and friends of the old man who had been slain were infuriated upon seeing this, especially the other old man, an ancestor who had just achieved the undefeatable martial monarch realm. His nephew had been killed because of his only relative. How could he not be infuriated when his only relative was killed right in front of him? Stop! Seeing him attack, Lien Rinshan's eyes shot out a cold light and blocked his attack. What are you doing? Lien Rinshan, get out of my way. This little bastard killed my only relative. I want him dead. His eyes were red as he roared in anger. Shut up, he asked for it. Lien Rinshan shouted. Lien Rinshan, do you want to fight with me? You're protecting an outsider? You're protecting Poe's murderer? I'm going to kill him. Lien Rinshan, if I hadn't broken through, I would still be afraid of you. But now that I've broken through, I'm also an unrivaled great emperor like you. Do you think I'm afraid of you? Oomph. Yang Hongwu snorted coldly. Wanting to kill him was akin to courting death. Yang Hongwu didn't want any trouble, so he made his move. Cutting the weeds must be uprooted. Otherwise, there would be endless trouble. Moreover, at this time, he needed to kill to establish his prestige. Otherwise, there would be more people who wanted to deal with him. Although he wasn't afraid, he didn't want any trouble. Therefore, this time, Yang Hongwu took action again. With a wave of his hand, a ray of light broke through the sky. Starlight burst out. It was a formation. It was another formation. A sword formation appeared. The power of the divine sword steel was activated by Yang Hongwu. Yang Hongwu used the power of the divine sword formation to activate the power of the divine sword steel. Yang Hongwu used his finger as a sword, and a sword intent burst out. The invisible sword intent instantly pierced through the elder's forehead. Before he could react, the sword intent had pierced through his body and soul. His soul scattered. He died in a single strike. He died before he could finish his sentence. He died with his eyes wide open. When Lien Rinshan and the others saw this scene, they were terrified. Terrifying, too terrifying. Yang Hongwu's strength was much stronger than they had imagined. How terrifying was his strength? No one could stop him. Even if the entire Sky Sword sect attacked together, they wouldn't be his match. If they really angered Yang Hongwu, the entire Sky Sword sect would be finished. Chapter 1356. Yuji appeared. Do you guys still want to attack me? Yang Hongwu's cold eyes swept across the crowd. If you're not afraid of death, you can try. Grandmaster, it's a misunderstanding. It's a misunderstanding. Gue Longping hurriedly said. He had already broken through to the invincible Great Emperor realm, but he didn't see clearly how Yang Hongwu attacked just now. It was just a sword light, and the person was dead. That was an invincible Great Emperor. If they really angered Yang Hongwu, everyone here wouldn't be enough for him to kill. Yang Hongwu snorted coldly and said, I have said that this series of changes is not because of me. The Divine Sword Steel was not created by me. Originally, I did not want to come to the Sky Sword sect, but you guys forced me to come. For the sake of Bai Yunjian, I will not bicker with you guys. In addition, let me give you a warning. This Divine Sword Steel is not something that you guys can possess. You cannot refine it, and you can't keep it either. All the experts in the continent have sensed it, and the old antiques of each continent are rushing here. If you don't want your sect to be destroyed, you better leave here quickly. Grandmaster, you're not joking, right? Do all the experts in the continent know about the Divine Sword Steel? Lien Rinshan said in disbelief. It's up to you to believe it or not. Yang Hongwu said coldly. Gue Longping and Lien Rinshan looked at each other. They knew that as an invincible great emperor, as an existence at the pinnacle of the continent, of course they could sense the aura of the Divine Sword Steel. The moment the Divine Sword Steel appeared, the terrifying sword intent could definitely be felt by the entire continent. It would be strange if they didn't sense such a heaven-defying sword intent. Therefore, Yang Hongwu killed 2 of them. They were angry, but they also knew that it wasn't the right time to fall out with Yang Hongwu. Moreover, if Yang Hongwu was on their side, that would be the best choice. Yang Hongwu was too strong. If he was here, the Divine Sword Steel would still belong to the Heavenly Sword Sect. Even if it was in Yang Hongwu's hands, as long as he was a member of the Heavenly Sword Sect, wouldn't it be good for the Heavenly Sword Sect? Grandmaster, this is the ancestral land of my Heavenly Sword Sect. We can't leave. If we leave, it would mean that we've given up on the Heavenly Sword Sect and betrayed our ancestors. We can't do that, said Gue Longping. If you don't want to leave, it's up to you. Yang Hongwu said coldly, as long as you don't bother me. Yang Hongwu looked at the Divine Sword Steel. He wasn't willing to give up just like that. After all, the Divine Sword Steel was a supreme treasure. Although he couldn't refine it now, he wouldn't give up if he had the chance. If he could refine the Divine Sword Steel, or merge it with the Dragon Gate and the Heavenly Palace of Destruction, it would be even better. However, it was too difficult to refine the Divine Sword Steel. Yang Hongwu wasn't confident enough to refine the Divine Sword Steel. Even if he was strong enough to kill an invincible great emperor, he still couldn't refine the Divine Sword Steel. Yang Hongwu faintly felt that the power of the Divine Sword Steel hadn't been released yet. The power he felt now was only 1,000th, or even 1/10,000th, or even less. Martial Ancestor, you have a way to refine the Divine Sword Steel, and you have the strength to stop those greedy guys, right? Gue Longping asked. Honorable Ancestor Yang, you are now considered a member of our Sky Sword sect, a revered elder of our Sky Sword sect. We have no way to take the Divine Sword Steel, but we don't want our Sky Sword sect to be destroyed. So, I was wondering if you could protect our Sky Sword sect? Bai Yunjian asked after some thought. Bai Yunjian knew that Yang Hongwu's words weren't groundless. He was afraid that the old antiques and the powerful forces in the mainland would be rushing here by now. Although the Sky Sword Peak had collapsed, the Sky Sword sect was still there. The Sky Sword Peak was only the main peak of the Sky Sword sect. The entire territory of the Sky Sword sect included the entire Sky Sword Peak within a radius of 3,000 miles. There were properties of the Sky Sword sect around the Sky Sword Peak. However, because of the Divine Sword Steel, the Sky Sword sect had fallen into a huge crisis. Originally, the collapse of the Sky Sword Peak had caused the Sky Sword sect to suffer heavy losses. If the other properties of the Sky Sword sect below the Sky Sword Peak were destroyed by the other forces, then the Sky Sword sect would really be finished. Facing the old antiques and powerful forces of the entire common people's continent, Lien Rinshan and the others didn't have enough confidence to resist. If it was just the Western continent, they wouldn't be worried. Although it was equally dangerous, they could still take advantage of the situation. After all, their Sky Sword sect had two invincible great emperors. However, if they were to include the central continent and the experts from the other three continents, they definitely wouldn't be able to resist. There wasn't a single sect in the common people's continent that could resist the combined forces of all the other forces. Even the strongest common people's temple couldn't. They had no way to resist, so they needed Yang Hongwu's help. As long as Yang Hongwu was willing to help, they still had hope. After all, Yang Hongwu was so powerful that an invincible great emperor could be easily killed in front of him. His strength was unfathomable. No one knew how strong he was. Therefore, if the Sky Sword sect wanted to survive and deal with those greedy people, they needed Yang Hongwu's help. As long as he was willing to stand on the side of the Sky Sword sect, the Sky Sword sect wouldn't have to worry. Husband, no one can take the divine sword steel. Moreover, now that all the forces of the common people's continent are rushing over, this place will soon become a place of trouble, a battlefield of Azura. We don't need to take the risk. Bayran said. The common people's continent wasn't that simple. Even something like the divine sword steel had appeared. Perhaps there were some terrifying experts. Otherwise, why would the divine sword steel appear here? Even if there were restrictions, there were still some special existences. Some ancient guys used all kinds of secret techniques to deceive the heavenly Tao and stayed on this continent. If those old antiques appeared, Yang Hongwu's strength hadn't recovered to its peak. If he encountered them, it would be extremely dangerous. I feel a familiar aura. It's Yuji's. Yang Hongwu suddenly looked towards the east. His eyes flashed with surprise. He didn't expect such a surprise. Chapter 1357. Goddess Palace. Yang Hongwu and the others sensed Yuji's aura. At the same time, Yuji also sensed by Iran and Yang Hongwu's auras. Let's go see Yuji. Yang Hongwu narrowed his eyes and grabbed by Iran's hand. He activated the void traversal technique and disappeared. He's gone. Bai Yunjian didn't expect Yang Hongwu to disappear so suddenly. Does the heavens want to destroy my Sky Sword sect? Gue Longping's expression was very ugly. No, I definitely won't let such a thing happen. Bai Yunjian, take the talented disciples and leave this place. Master, don't say too much. Gue Longping said, you're now the only hope of my Sky Sword sect. As long as you're here, the Sky Sword sect won't be destroyed. Yang Hongwu, I misjudged you. Bai Yunjian was depressed. If Yang Hongwu was willing to stay and help the Sky Sword sect, his master wouldn't have made such a decision. Master, take care. Bai Yunjian also knew that the situation was urgent. If he really stayed here, he might really be destroyed. He had to work hard to preserve the Sky Sword sect's survival. At this time, Yang Hongwu naturally didn't know what was going on. To him, the Sky Sword sect was nothing. Even the divine sword steel was nothing. In his heart, nothing was more important than his woman. Yang Hongwu and Bai Iran appeared in front of Yuji and the others. When a woman in the lead saw Yang Hongwu and Bai Yunjian, her expression changed and she shouted, "Who are you? How dare you block the path of our goddess palace?" Great demon. Yang Hongwu ignored the woman in front of him and stared at Yuji. Little man. Yuji smiled and flew towards Yang Hongwu. My little man, you're finally here. I'm sorry. Yang Hongwu smiled bitterly. I'm a little late. If you were a little late, I wouldn't want you anymore. Yuji had a smile on her face, but it could be seen that she was very happy in her heart. Very happy. Junior sister Yuji, the woman in the lead, was the eldest disciple of the goddess palace. Her name was Nangong Sini, and she was an invincible great emperor. Goddess Palace was one of the top forces in the central continent. Although it wasn't as strong as the Common Life Temple, it was still ranked third. This showed how powerful the Goddess Palace was. Even a disciple could reach the invincible Great Emperor realm. Clearly, the Goddess Palace was not that simple. Senior sister, this is my husband, Yang Hongwu. Yuji pulled Yang Hongwu and Bai Iran and introduced them to Nangong Sini. This is my sister, Bai Iran. Junior sister, is this the brat you've been thinking about? He's only a great saint. He's not good enough for you. Nangong Sini looked at Yang Hongwu and felt unhappy. Brat, You're not good enough for junior sister Yuji. I think you'd better leave junior sister Yuji. Haha, beauty, are you trying to break me and Yuji apart? Or is it because you're jealous? Yuji, the great demoness who is jealous of me, can have such an outstanding husband like me? Looking at Nangong Sini's attitude and tone, Yang Hongwu was very unhappy and wanted to tease her. Nangong Sini was angry at Yang Hongwu's words. Jealous? What am I jealous of? What a joke. I, Nangong Sini, am a proud daughter of the heavens. What kind of man can enter my eyes? Brat, you're just a great saint now. You're just an ant in front of me. Junior sister Yuji is already at the peak of the great emperor realm. She's only one step away from entering the invincible great emperor realm. Do you think you're good enough for her? Yuji smiled at Yang Hongwu and didn't say anything. She wanted to see what Yang Hongwu would do. Realm doesn't equal strength. Yang Hongwu chuckled. Girl, although your cultivation realm is good, your combat strength isn't strong. It's easy for me to defeat you. What a big tone. Nangong Sini sneered when she heard that. This brat was merely an eminent saint, yet he was so arrogant. Who did he think he was? Defeating an invincible great emperor as a great saint? It was simply a big joke. Since ancient times, it wasn't that there weren't people who could challenge those above their realm, but there had never been a great saint realm martial artist who could defeat an invincible great emperor. Even the legendary figure of Songxing Continent, Song Saint Emperor, couldn't do it. Song Saint Emperor was a peerless expert in the Song Saint Continent. When he had just broken through to the great emperor realm, he was able to defeat an invincible great emperor. Later on, he broke through the shackles and ascended to the deity domain. He became a legend in the Song Saint Continent. This brat in front of her was just a great saint and a second-level great saint. How dare he say that he could defeat her easily? Nangong Sini was enraged. Brat, how dare you talk nonsense? Today, I'll cripple you. Nangong Sini said coldly. Junior sister Yuji, the person you value is too arrogant. I'll kill him and end your mortal bond. Senior sister, if you can really kill him, I won't have any complaints. Yuji winked at Yang Hongwu. Yang Hongwu didn't know whether to laugh or cry. He glared at her and said, What a great demoness. Are you trying to kill your husband? Wait and see how I'll deal with you tonight. Although he knew that Yuji was just joking, Yang Hongwu still decided to teach her a lesson tonight. At the very least, he would make her lie in bed for a few days. Otherwise, if this went on, the husband's authority wouldn't be shaken. You make the first move. Nangong Sini looked at Yang Hongwu and said, Otherwise, you won't have any chance. Sigh. Yang Hongwu sighed. Your aptitude is good, but your state of mind isn't good. You're too arrogant. With that, Yang Hongwu waved his hand and punched out. This punch didn't use any magic power or secret techniques. It was just a light and ordinary punch. Nangong Sini's eyes flashed with contempt when she saw Yang Hongwu's attack. How could someone like him defeat her? How dare he talk so arrogantly? He really didn't know what was good for him. Nangong Sini didn't dodge. She didn't plan to block at all. In her heart, even if there were 1,000 or 10,000 of such people, they wouldn't be able to hurt her. Bai Yiran could also see that this woman was looking down on Yang Hongwu. She didn't care about Yang Hongwu at all. She knew that Nangong Sini was going to be at a disadvantage. How could her husband's attack be so simple? Chapter 1358. Common Life Force Bang. The punch landed on Nangong Sini's body and landed on Nangong Sini's pair of treasures. Nangong Sini was furious. She wanted to use her magic power to kill Yang Hongwu, but she didn't expect that her magic power would disappear. She didn't have a trace of strength in her body. She was sent flying. The female disciples that followed Nangong Sini widened their eyes. Their beautiful eyes were filled with disbelief. This was simply inconceivable, too inconceivable. Did the great senior sister go easy on him? Did she do it on purpose? Did she purposely let Yang Hongwu hit her? Otherwise, how could eldest senior sister, an invincible great emperor, be sent flying by a mere second-level great sage realm martial artist? Moreover, it was at a crucial position. One should know that the great senior sister Nangong Sini was very arrogant. She would never treat men nicely, even if they were the peerless heaven's pride of the common life temple. I've said that you're weak. Yang Hongwu said. You, bastard, you dare to poison me? Nangong Sini was furious. She didn't think that Yang Hongwu would dare to treat her like this. One must know that no one in the common people's continent would dare to treat her like this. Which one of them wasn't courteous to her? But this brat Yang Hongwu, not only did he scheme against her, he even hid her treasures. This made her so angry that her chest almost exploded. Poison? Yang Hongwu sneered and said, How embarrassing. You don't even know how I defeated you, yet you still dare to be so arrogant. I really don't know how you survived. Let me tell you, I didn't poison you, and I disdain to poison you. Moreover, even if I really poisoned you and defeated you, it was my strength. In a battle, what matters is the victory, not the means. A little mistake can mean the difference between life and death. I don't need you to lecture me. Nangong Sini's face was ashen. She had never suffered such humiliation before. I will definitely kill you. Nangong Sini roared and charged at Yang Hongwu again. You overestimate yourself. Yang Hongwu snorted coldly and slapped Nangong Sini. He used all his strength in this slap and sent her flying. A bright red handprint appeared on her face. Yang Hongwu didn't use his Dharma power for this slap, but his physical strength. Nangong Sini couldn't use her Dharma power in his formation. Therefore, the current Nangong Sini could only use her physical strength. How could her physical strength be stronger than Yang Hongwu? She couldn't even compare to a venerable realm warrior. Therefore, she was easily sent flying by Yang Hongwu's slap. What should we do? At this moment, the other disciples of the goddess palace were all dumbfounded. They didn't know what to do. After all, their strength was far inferior to their eldest senior sister, Nangong Sini. But now, their eldest senior sister, Nangong Sini, was no match for Yang Hongwu and was beaten black and blue. That guy, Yang Hongwu, didn't care about the fairer sex at all. How could they attack? They were no match for him. At this moment, Yuji said, My little man, you're so ungentlemanly. You don't care about the fairer sex at all. Yuji rolled her eyes at Yang Hongwu and came to Nangong Sini's side to help Nangong Sini up. Bastard, you little bastard. How dare you hit Sini? At this moment, a voice was heard. A white figure appeared in front of Yang Hongwu like a flash of lightning. The white figure grabbed at Yang Hongwu with a domineering strength that seemed to shatter the space. This grab was going to crush Yang Hongwu. Humph! Yang Hongwu snorted and threw out a punch. The 10-direction killing fist was ferocious and domineering, and it heavily bombarded the claw. Kacha! With a crisp sound, the claw was shattered, and the person who came was pushed back a few steps. Sheng Yuan Sheng, I don't need you to meddle in my affairs. Get out of my way. Nangong Sini said coldly when she saw the person who came. Sini, don't you know what I'm thinking? This little bastard dares to attack you. He's courting death. I'll kill him to avenge you. Sheng Yuansheng was a heaven's pride of the Common Life Temple. He was very strong and had already reached the half-step true God realm. He was even stronger than Nangong Sini. He was one of the most outstanding geniuses in the Common Life Temple. Among the younger generation, he was recognized as the number 2 expert and the second genius. As for the number 1 expert and the number 1 genius among the younger generation, he was a genius of the dragons. His name was Long Lu Li. Although Lu Li was only a half-step true God expert, his fighting strength was extremely terrifying. Once he transformed into a dragon, his fighting strength was comparable to a true Tai true God expert. In fact, Lu Li was not only the number 1 expert among the younger generation, but he also had the qualifications to be the number 1 expert in the entire continent. However, after defeating countless geniuses in the continent, Lu Li went into seclusion on the Dragon Island. It was said that he wanted to break through the shackles of the Tai true God realm. He wanted to break through the spatial bottleneck and enter a higher level of the divine domain. As soon as Sheng Yuanqing finished speaking, a huge seal appeared in his hand. This seal was filled with an ancient power. He struck out a series of seals that entered the seal. The seal instantly enlarged and turned into a huge mountain, crushing down on Yang Hongwu. When the seal appeared, Yang Hongwu was shocked. This seal was exactly the same as the common life seal that he had obtained before. If it wasn't for the aura and power of this seal being far weaker than the common life seal, Yang Hongwu would have thought that this was the real common life seal. Common life seal, Mountain Strike. Although this wasn't the real common life seal, what surprised Yang Hongwu was that this common life seal actually contained a trace of common life energy. This strike shocked Yang Hongwu. The power of this strike definitely surpassed the attack of an ordinary invincible great emperor. However, Yang Hongwu wasn't afraid. Although this strike was powerful and even contained an ancient power, a trace of common life energy, it was nothing to Yang Hongwu. Using the common life energy to deal with him was simply an act of suicide. Although Yang Hongwu hadn't found the common life seal and activated it, he had already obtained the seal's recognition and could use some of the common life energy. He was the owner of the common life seal. How could mere common life energy, and an incomplete one at that, cause any harm to Yang Hongwu? Instead, the power of the common people was his tonic. Chapter 1359. Display a might crack. With a crisp sound, the mountain-like seal was instantly crushed by Yang Hongwu's hand. The life force in the seal turned into pure energy and was refined by Yang Hongwu. At this moment, Yang Hongwu's cultivation had made a breakthrough and advanced to the third level of the Great Saint Realm. Impossible! Sheng Yuansheng spat out a mouthful of blood. Obviously, Yang Hongwu had crushed the seal and devoured the life force, which had caused him a great backlash. This was his trump card. In the past, he had relied on this move to defeat countless geniuses. However, he had never imagined that he would be defeated so easily by Yang Hongwu. Even his mortal life seal had been shattered. Nothing is impossible. Yang Hongwu sneered. If you want to stand up for others, you have to see if you have the strength to do so. Get out of my sight. Sheng Yuansheng's heart was bleeding when he saw that Yang Hongwu had crushed the life seal into powder. He's too powerful. Sheng Yuansheng's life seal has been crushed. What terrifying strength. Is he really only in the Great Saint Realm? Not a true God Realm expert? That's right. This brat is too terrifying. He's so powerful, but he hid himself and disguised himself as a Great Saint Realm expert. It's too shameful. Could this brat be the reincarnation of an unparalleled expert? No. I suspect that this brat is a super expert who sealed his cultivation and came down to the lower realm. It's possible. What kind of treasure is the divine sword steel? It's a supreme treasure. Rumor has it that it's a divine object shot out by the fortune heavenly gate. Sheng Yuansheng is too unlucky this time. He has bumped into the muzzle of the spear. Sheng Yuansheng has done a lot of bullying. This time he deserves it. That's right. Sheng Yuansheng is nothing. Relying on the fact that he's a disciple of the Common Life Temple and has the Common Life Seal, he's arrogant and despotic. Who knows how many people's fortunes and treasures have been snatched away by him. Many geniuses have been suppressed by him, making it impossible for them to advance. It's not just suppression. That bastard Sheng Yuansheng has done countless atrocious things behind the scenes. Who knows how many times he has killed people to steal their treasures. Hearing everyone's words, Sheng Yuansheng was furious. His hatred for Yang Hongwu grew even stronger. Little bastard, I'll kill you. The enraged Sheng Yuansheng clenched a saber in his hand and leaped up, bursting with astonishing combat strength. He burned his own chi and blood, and his whole person seemed to have turned into an Azura. His face was ferocious, and he rushed toward Yang Hongwu aggressively. The power of this saber was astonishing. It was as if the world was going to be split into two halves by his saber. Looking at Sheng Yuansheng's powerful strength, Yang Hongwu was also surprised. This guy's strength was not bad. He was worthy of being the most powerful force in the Common Life Temple, the second genius among the younger generation of the Common Life Temple. However, Yang Hongwu did not put him in his eyes. If it was before, Yang Hongwu would be a little worried. However, his cultivation had broken through to the Great Sage Realm. Moreover, he had also arranged a formation here, a special formation. Here, not to mention one Sheng Yuansheng. Even if there were 10 or 100 Sheng Yuansheng, Yang Hongwu would not be afraid. He could easily kill him. You're courting death. Then, I'll fulfill your wish. Yang Hongwu's eyes shot out a cold light. In this cold light, there was a murderous intent. It was like a sharp killing sword. Seal. Yang Hongwu struck out a seal. A mysterious light formed a seal in the void. When Nangong Sini saw this move, her face changed. She was very clear about this technique. At that time, her cultivation was sealed because of this technique. Although Nangong Sini's cultivation was not as good as Sheng Yuanqing's, it was not much weaker. If her cultivation could be sealed so easily, how could Sheng Yuanqing resist it? Therefore, Nangong Sini knew that this time, Sheng Yuanqing's life was determined. Although Sheng Yuanqing stood up for her and went against Yang Hongwu, Nangong Sini did not have a good impression of Sheng Yuanqing. Sheng Yuanqing was a scumbag. No one knew how many experts he had deceived and plotted against. No one knew how many women he had harmed. It was rumored that Sheng Yuanqing cultivated an evil technique. Many talented women were tricked by Sheng Yuanqing and became his cultivation vessels. Although there was no evidence, it was impossible for such a rumor to be groundless since it was rumored. If the rumors were true, then Sheng Yuanqing might have pursued her to use her as a human cauldron. Therefore, even if Sheng Yuanqing went against Yang Hongwu because of her and ended up in this state, she still did not have a good impression of Sheng Yuanqing. She would not fight to the death with Yang Hongwu because of this. Nangong Sini was not a fool. The reason why she went against Yang Hongwu in the beginning was because of Yu Ji. She thought that Yang Hongwu was only a great Saint Realm cultivator and was not worthy of Yu Ji. In addition, Yang Hongwu provoked her, which provoked her into attacking him. Now that she knew Yang Hongwu's terrifying strength, she knew that she was no match for him at all. It was impossible for her to defeat Yang Hongwu. Therefore, she would not be so stupid. She knew that she was no match for Yang Hongwu. Wasn't that courting death? Looking for a beating? Moreover, she knew the relationship between Yang Hongwu and Yu Ji from the beginning. Speaking of which, Yang Hongwu could be regarded as half a disciple of the Goddess Palace and was the son-in-law of the Goddess Palace. After all, Yu Ji was a genius of the Goddess Palace and the disciple that her master was most proud of. Her master valued Yu Ji very much. If she did not know that Yu Ji had a husband, Yu Ji would definitely be the future palace lord of the Goddess Palace. Moreover, for many years, the Goddess Palace had been able to occupy the top 3 positions in the mortal world because many disciples of the Goddess Palace had become the women of some experts. Although Nangong Sini did not want to admit it, it was the truth. Although the Goddess Palace was powerful, in fact, it was much weaker than the mortal life temple. However, becoming a son-in-law of the Goddess Palace and marrying a disciple was not an easy task. One must pass the test of the Goddess Palace, which was the lover's test. Only then would they be able to get married. If one could not pass the 3 tests of the lover's test, then it was impossible to marry a disciple of the Goddess Palace. Chapter 1360. Heaven covering hand. How could this be? My cultivation is gone. Sheng Yuanqing was terrified. He didn't expect that Yang Hongwu would seal his cultivation all of a sudden. Without his cultivation, wouldn't that be a dead end? He had never been so terrified before. Who was this guy? How could he be so terrifying? A great sage realm warrior actually had such a terrifying method. He was simply a devil. No, he was even more terrifying than a devil. He actually sealed his own cultivation. At this moment, Sheng Yuanqing was very regretful. He regretted being so impulsive. Why didn't he figure out the opponent's background before taking action? Bang! Before he could say anything, Yang Hongwu's attack was already in front of him. He was kicked by Yang Hongwu. In the face, this kick sent him flying in an instant. There was a big shoe print on his face. It was as embarrassing as it could be. At this moment, he no longer cared about losing face. For him, the most terrifying thing now was how to block Yang Hongwu's attack. He had already been injured by Yang Hongwu. Sini, save me. Seeing Yang Hongwu attacking him again with a terrifying killing intent, Sheng Yuanqing shouted in horror. Nangong Sini acted as if she did not hear anything and simply ignored Sheng Yuanqing. Bang! Sheng Yuanqing was sent flying again. He did not know how many bones in his body were broken. Boy, stop it. Do you know who I am? Sheng Yuanqing saw Yang Hongwu walking toward him again. He crawled on the ground and kept wriggling backwards. He wanted to get further away from Yang Hongwu. Sheng Yuansheng was a heaven's pride of the common life temple. He was high and mighty. This time, he suffered the greatest blow. This was his greatest humiliation. I am a disciple of the common life temple. I am a heaven's pride of the common life temple. You dare to kill me? Only death awaits you. Do you know that? Is that so? Yang Hongwu laughed coldly. Common life temple is really strong, the #1 power in the continent. I'm so scared, can you spare me? Now you know fear. Cripple your own cultivation and kneel down to beg me. Perhaps I can spare your life. Sheng Yuansheng didn't know what was wrong with him, or if his brain had crashed, but he actually opened his mouth and said such words. Nangong Sini stared blankly at Sheng Yuansheng. At this time, other people from Common Life Temple came as well. One of them was an elder of Common Life Temple, a half-step true god. Yang Hongwu narrowed his eyes, sensing the strength of the other party. This fellow was still quite a threat to Yang Hongwu. If he hadn't set up a formation in advance, it would have been troublesome to deal with this old fellow. Elder Song, you're here. Great, kill this little bastard for me. Kill him. Seeing Elder Song's appearance, Sheng Yuansheng was proud. He was no longer afraid of Yang Hongwu. Thinking of what he had just said, he was even more furious. Yuansheng, who hurt you? Song Zizai had just arrived and didn't know what was going on. But seeing Sheng Yuansheng's miserable state, he was indeed furious. Sheng Yuansheng was the most outstanding genius of the Common Life Temple, an unparalleled heaven's pride. Other than a monstrous dragons, he was the most outstanding genius of the younger generation. Many experts of the older generation were no match for him. Therefore, Sheng Yuansheng's position in the Common Life Temple was extremely high, second only to the sect master and a few old ancestors. He was an old ancestor of the Common Life Temple. This time, he came to let Sheng Yuansheng gain experience and obtain the Sword Dao Divine Tablet. His main task was to protect Sheng Yuansheng and obtain the Sword Dao Divine Tablet. The Sword Dao Divine Tablet was a supreme treasure. If he could obtain it, the strength of the Common Life Temple would rise to another level. Moreover, the Sword Dao Divine Tablet contained the supreme Sword Dao. If he could comprehend it, he could break through the shackles and enter the true God realm. One should know that in these years, there were fewer and fewer people who could break through the true God realm. This side of the world seemed to be suppressed by a special power, or rather, the law. The few experts who broke through the true God realm and ascended to the deity realm seemed to have supreme opportunities and obtained supreme treasures. And the Sword Dao Divine Tablet happened to be the most precious and powerful treasure that had appeared in so many years. No matter what, he had to get the Sword Dao Divine Tablet. If the sect master and the other old ancestors weren't in seclusion, he was afraid that the old ancestors who came out would be half-step true God experts. He wouldn't be the only one. It's him, Elder Song. It's this little bastard who schemed against me. I don't know what evil thing he used to seal my cultivation. I can't use a trace of magic power. That's why I was beaten up like this. Sheng Yuansheng said loudly, "Little bastard, you have committed a capital crime. Do you know? You dare to attack a disciple of the Common Life Temple. You deserve to die 10,000 times." Song Zizai stared at Yang Hongwu and said coldly, "Little bastard, kill yourself." Ha ha ha. Yang Hongwu couldn't help but laugh when he heard that. Old turtle, have you become senile? Or is it because you've eaten too much sh*t that your brain is filled with sh*t? You want me to kill myself? What a joke. No wonder the people of the Common Life Temple are so stupid. I'm afraid you all grew up eating shit. Cough. Everyone covered their mouth, trying to hold back their laughter. These words really made people laugh. This was the Common Life Temple's Song Zizai, Elder Song. He was a half-step true God expert, standing at the peak of the Common Life Temple. His strength was incomparably powerful. Moreover, as an old ancestor of the Common Life Temple, he was high and mighty. Anyone who saw him had to be respectful. Who would have thought that Yang Hongwu would actually say such words? Moreover, What was even more shocking was that he actually said that the disciples of the Common Life Temple grew up eating shit. To dare to humiliate the Common Life Temple, to humiliate a half-step true God realm old ancestor like this, there was probably no one else. Little bastard, I will tear you into pieces, extract your soul, and burn it with the hellfire, making you suffer for eternity. Song Zizai was completely enraged. He was the old ancestor of the dignified Common Life Temple, a peak master of the half-step true divinity realm. Now, he was insulted by a little bastard of the great saint realm. He was so angry that he vomited blood. The furious Song Zizai mobilized his magical power and rushed towards Yang Hongwu. His huge palm almost covered this side of the world. Heaven-covering hand. This was Song Zizai's most powerful secret technique, heaven-covering hand. When cultivated to the extreme, it could cover the sky and the sun, destroying everything. Song Zizai relied on this powerful heaven-covering hand to move unhindered in the Common Life continent. Countless experts and geniuses had died under his heaven-covering hand. Chapter 1361. Cripple your cultivation. Yang Hongwu smiled. Whatever heaven-covering hand or earth-covering hand, they were nothing in front of him now. They were not even worth looking at. After Song Zizai entered the formation, Yang Hongwu struck out the set of seals again. Upon seeing this, Sheng Yuansheng exclaimed in shock, "Elder Song, be careful. That's a seal on your cultivation." However, before he could finish his sentence, Yang Hongwu's seals turned into a ray of light and entered Song Zizai's body. Then, Song Zizai's body froze. In the next moment, he was struck down by Yang Hongwu. "My cultivation, my magic power." Song Zizai was aggrieved. It was too late to say it now. "Sheng Yuansheng, you bastard, you knew it, but you didn't say it earlier." Now it was too late. Therefore, he couldn't help but curse. "Sheng Yuansheng, you little bastard, why didn't you say it earlier since you knew?" He was depressed. Fine, he wanted to teach Yang Hongwu a lesson, but he didn't expect to be taught a lesson by Yang Hongwu. Moreover, what frightened him the most was that he didn't know what was going on. What kind of cultivation technique was Yang Hongwu, that little bastard, using? What kind of secret technique was that? Could it be a demonic technique? He had never heard of any secret technique that could directly seal a martial artist's magic power, unless it was a special poison technique. Could it be a poison technique? If it was a poison technique, he could sense it. As an ancestor of the Common Life Temple, he had a treasure in his hand, which was a poison avoidance pearl. This poison avoidance pearl could resist poison attacks. Even the most powerful poison master, an invincible great emperor realm poison master, could not poison him. Moreover, if someone really used a poison technique, he would definitely feel it. I just remembered, but Sheng Yuansheng felt wronged. He just remembered and wanted to say it, but you didn't give him a chance. Everyone present was stunned. They all felt the terror of Yang Hongwu. Who was Song Zizai? He was an old ancestor of the Common Life Temple, a half-step true god expert. However, such a powerful expert was defeated by Yang Hongwu in a single move. It was too shocking. The ones who received the greatest impact were Nangong Sini and the other disciples of the Common Life Temple. This was especially true for the disciples of the Common Life Temple. They were well aware of how powerful Elder Song was. At the very least, in their eyes, Elder Song Zizai was practically invincible. However, such an undefeatable powerhouse was unable to withstand a single blow from Yang Hongwu. How could they not be shocked? What should we do now? The remaining disciples of the Common Life Temple looked at each other, not knowing what to do. This time, they came out with Song Zizai and Sheng Yuansheng in order to cooperate with them to seize the divine sword Dao Steel. But now, before they even saw the divine sword Dao Steel, Song Zizai and Sheng Yuansheng, two heavyweight figures, had already been taken care of by others. "Little bastard, what kind of sorcery did you use?" Although Song Zizai's cultivation was sealed and there was no way for him to use his spiritual power, his physical body was still very strong. Song Zizai had once cultivated the body refining technique. Although his spiritual power was sealed, the strength of his physical body was enough for him to contend with an ordinary great emperor realm expert. This was Song Zizai's greatest trump card. Even the elders of the Common Life Temple didn't know about it. There were only a few people who knew about his powerful physical body. However, he didn't show it this time. Song Zizai was an old fox. He knew that Yang Hongwu's strength was very terrifying. He actually had such a terrifying secret technique that could seal people's cultivation and spiritual power. If you were to fight against the Common Life Temple, it would be a huge blow to them. Therefore, what he needed to do now was to hide and wait for Yang Hongwu, this little bastard, to think that victory was in his hands before giving him a fatal blow. After all, such a monstrous genius had such a terrifying secret technique. Such a person was not on their side, but an enemy. They had to kill him in one blow. He couldn't be allowed to grow. He couldn't be allowed to live. Otherwise, it would be a disaster for them and the Common Life Temple. Song Zizai said he was accumulating his strength. When Yang Hongwu approached, he would launch a fatal blow and kill Yang Hongwu in one fell swoop. Let's go quickly. We are disciples of the Common Life Temple. If you dare to harm me and Sheng Yuan Sheng, the Common Life Temple will not let you go. The Common Life Temple is the strongest sect in the entire Common Life continent. You have offended the Common Life Temple. There will be no place for you in this world. Song Zizai said, a defeated general, a prisoner, you still dare to be so arrogant. Yang Hongwu said coldly, the Common Life Temple is indeed strong, but I don't put it in my eyes. If a mere Common Life Temple dares to go against me, I will just destroy it. Domineering. Hearing Yang Hongwu's words, even if Nangong Sini didn't like Yang Hongwu, she had to admit that Yang Hongwu was very domineering at this moment. On the other hand, Yuji was very satisfied and happy. This was her man. He was always a strong man with boundless domineering aura. After Yuji and Bai Yiran's conversation, they already knew that Yang Hongwu's cultivation base was far from recovered. He was only in the Great Saint realm. Before his recultivation, although Yang Hongwu could also challenge those of a higher level, his strength was definitely not so strong. It was impossible for him to defeat a half-step true God expert so easily with the cultivation of a great sage. You have big words. Are you determined to go against the Common Life Temple? You're courting death, do you know that? Song Zizai vomited blood in his heart. He didn't expect this kid to be so arrogant. He didn't even put the Common Life Temple in his eyes. Courting death? Yang Hongwu laughed. So what if I'm courting death? In this world, I'm afraid no one who can threaten me has appeared yet. However, old man, you are very lucky today. I won't kill you. Sheng Yuansheng was overjoyed when he heard this. As long as he didn't kill them, it would be fine as long as he didn't kill them. As long as he could leave this place alive, he would definitely take revenge in the future. He would definitely kill this little bastard and that bitch Nangong Sini. He would stand up for her, but this bitch didn't do anything when she saw him in this state. She didn't even say a word. This made him hate Nangong Sini to the core. Sheng Yuansheng was pleasantly surprised. Song Zizai was the same. Although he planned to plot against Yang Hongwu, he didn't have full confidence. However, I will cripple your cultivation base. The last sentence made Sheng Yuansheng and Song Zizai fall into an ice cellar. Chapter 1362. Decisive and decisive. How dare you? Song Zizai was terrified and furious as he yelled. What are you all standing there for? Go and kill this little bastard. The other disciples of the Common Life Temple heard Song Zizai's order, and although they were unwilling, they had to act. After all, they were disciples of the Common Life Temple. If they betrayed the Common Life Temple, the consequences would be very serious. No one could bear the consequences of betrayal. Who dares? Yuji acted at this time. Although the disciples of the Common Life Temple were strong, they were not Yuji's opponent. Yuji clapped her hands, and a burst of chi burst out. The disciples of the Common Life Temple were sent flying. Seeing this scene, Nangong Sini smiled bitterly. Her junior sister attacked the disciples of the Common Life Temple at this time. Wasn't she trying to drag the Goddess Palace down with her? In fact, Nangong Sini knew that the Common Life Temple was ready to make a move against the Goddess Palace. Although the Goddess Palace was strong, it was still lacking compared to the Common Life Temple. Originally, The goddess palace did not threaten the status of the common life temple. However, the goddess palace obtained something. It was a jade talisman. It was said that this jade talisman contained a shocking secret. If anyone could solve this secret, they could become the master of the common life continent. This secret was the legendary common life Great Seal. This jade talisman was an ancestral item of a lover of a disciple of the goddess palace. It was also because of this item that the entire family of that female disciple's lover was annihilated. In the end, before that person died, he gave this jade talisman to his lover in the goddess palace. The female disciple obtained the jade talisman and was chased all the way back to the goddess palace. However, after returning to the goddess palace, her life was unknown and she was in a coma. The jade talisman was given to the palace lord of the goddess palace, who was also the master of Nangong Sini and Yuji, second Qingyu. Not many people knew about this secret. Even the goddess palace, only second Qingyu, Nangong Sini, and a few elders knew about it. However, the Common Life Temple was determined to obtain this jade talisman. After a long period of investigation, they found some clues that led them to the goddess palace. As for this jade talisman, second Qingyu naturally wouldn't hand it over so easily. Therefore, it was only a matter of time before the Common Life Temple and the goddess palace clashed. However, it was not the right time for the goddess palace to fall out with the Temple of Common Life. Unexpectedly, such an audacious guy like Yang Hongwu appeared. More importantly, this audacious guy was Yuji's husband. And Yuji was the most talented disciple of the goddess palace, even more outstanding than her. She was highly regarded by her master, second Qingyu. If it were not for Yuji, she would definitely become the future palace lord of the goddess palace. Disciples of the goddess palace, listen to my order. Attack and kill all the disciples of the Common Life Temple. Nangong Sini said. The disciples of the goddess palace didn't know why their first senior sister gave such an order, but they didn't ask. They chose to attack. One by one, they took out their weapons and attacked the disciples of the Common Life Temple. The strength of the Common Life Temple was stronger than that of the goddess palace. However, because Yang Hongwu showed his invincible strength and defeated the genius of the Common Life Temple, Sheng Yuansheng, as well as the powerful Song Zizai, the disciples of the Common Life Temple all lost their will to fight. In addition, Yuji's methods were incomparably sharp. No one was her opponent. Therefore, the disciples of the Common Life Temple had no way to resist. When Nangong Sini gave the order, Song Zizai and Sheng Yuansheng were both stunned. What was Nangong Sini doing? She dared to give the order to kill the disciples of the Common Life Temple? Was she crazy? Nangong Sini, you're crazy. Are you trying to start a war between the Goddess Palace and the Common Life Temple? Sheng Yuansheng shouted. Nangong Sini, how dare you? You're provoking the Common Life Temple. Hurry up and stop them. Otherwise, the Common Life Temple will destroy the Goddess Palace. Song Zizai shouted. However, Nangong Sini ignored him. She turned to Yang Hongwu and said, Little bastard, hurry up and release my seal. Little girl, is this the attitude of a beggar? Yang Hongwu rolled his eyes and said, You little bastard, you're really pissing me off. Nangong Sini was furious. She had never been so angry before. If it wasn't for junior sister Yuji, she wouldn't have thought of this. Nangong Sini's heart shook. She seemed to be unable to control her temper after meeting Yang Hongwu. Thinking of this, Nangong Sini took a deep breath. At this time, Yuji said, Husband, release senior sister Nangong Seal. Don't make things difficult for her. Since Madam has spoken, I'll let you go. Yang Hongwu waved his hand. A ray of magic power condensed into a seal and released Nangong Sini's seal. Nangong Sini recovered her magic power. She glared at Yang Hongwu and also joined the fight against the Common Life Temple. You bastards, you deserve to die. Seeing the disciples of the Common Life Temple being slaughtered one by one, Song Zizai and Sheng Yuansheng's eyes were burning with anger. If looks could kill, Yang Hongwu would have died countless times. Little bastard, we can't let these two people go. After all the disciples of the Common Life Temple were killed, Nangong Sini looked at Song Zizai and Sheng Yuansheng. Nangong Sini, you bitch, How dare you? Sheng Yuansheng saw that Nangong Sini was so vicious that she wanted to kill him. His whole body trembled with anger. I've been so good to you, and you treat me like this. You bitch, you'll die a horrible death. Nangong Sini, and this little brother, let us go and I'll pretend this never happened. How about it? I can make a heavenly Tao blood oath. Song Zizai didn't want to die. As for the other disciples of the Common Life Temple, it didn't have much to do with him if they died. The most important thing now was to save his own life. Song Zizai regretted coming to seize the sword Tao Divine Steel. If he knew this would happen, he wouldn't have come. However, there was no medicine for regret in this world. Now that he had fallen to this point, the most important thing was to save his own life. No, absolutely not. We can't let the tiger return to the mountain. Nangong Sini refused. She waved the sword in her hand, and a ray of sword chi instantly killed Sheng Yuansheng. Chapter 1363. News of the Life Seal. Nangong Sini, you bitch. You actually killed Sheng Yuansheng. You actually killed Sheng Yuansheng. Do you know what you're doing? Song Zizai screamed. Not only will I kill him, but I'll also kill you. Nangong Sini's eyes flashed coldly as she waved her sword once again. Wait. Yang Hongwu stopped her. You want to stop me? Nangong Sini said coldly. Young master, you can't let him kill me. If you save my life, I can give you countless treasures. I'm an ancestor of the Common Life Temple. I have countless resources and treasures. As long as you don't kill me, I can give you all my treasures. Song Zizai saw that Nangong Sini wanted to kill Sheng Yuansheng. Obviously, she would really kill him, even if he was an ancestor of the Common Life Temple. And now, the only person who could save him was Yang Hongwu. Only Yang Hongwu could save his life. He knew that if Yang Hongwu wanted to kill him, he would have done it long ago. There was no need for him to wait until now. However, Song Zizai didn't know that he was completely wrong. It wasn't that Yang Hongwu didn't want to kill him, but that he didn't have the time to kill him. Yang Hongwu, are you going to release the tiger back to the mountain? Nangong Sini's face darkened. She couldn't let Yang Hongwu release Song Zizai at this time. If Song Zizai was released, there would be big trouble. After all, she had already killed all the disciples of the Common Life Temple. Moreover, she had even killed Sheng Yuansheng, the future temple master of the Common Life Temple. How could she let Song Zizai go? If she let Song Zizai go, the Common Life Temple would definitely know about this. At that time, the Common Life Temple would probably attack the Goddess Palace. At that time, Nangong Sini would become the biggest sinner of the Goddess Palace. Therefore, she couldn't agree to let Song Zizai go no matter what. Don't kill me. I know a big secret. It's about the Life Seal. Song Zizai at this time, in order to save his life, he didn't care about anything else and shouted loudly. You still want to deceive the public? Die. When Nangong Sini heard this, a terrifying killing intent burst out. A sword chi burst out and instantly pierced through the space. In the blink of an eye, it pierced through Song Zizai's heart. Even his soul was shattered. Yang Hongwu didn't even have time to stop it. It was definitely a sword essence left behind by a true primordial true god. Otherwise, Yang Hongwu would have been able to sense it and stop it in his formation. Nangong Sini, what are you doing? Why are you in such a hurry to kill him? Are you trying to hide something? Yang Hongwu glared at Nangong Sini angrily. To Yang Hongwu, the Life Seal was very important. He was the owner of the Life Seal. However, there was no way to activate the Life Seal. Yang Hongwu was shocked that Song Zizai had information about the Life Seal. Of course, he wanted to know more about the Life Seal. But now, Song Zizai was killed by Nangong Sini without giving him a chance. Therefore, Yang Hongwu was furious. If Nangong Sini wasn't Yuji's senior sister, Yang Hongwu wouldn't hesitate to capture her. He would even use a secret technique to obtain Nangong Sini's memories. Husband, don't be angry. Seeing Yang Hongwu so angry, Yuji also knew that the Life Seal was very important to Yang Hongwu. She also knew that. Yuji, you go to the side first. I'll handle this matter. Yang Hongwu looked at Nangong Sini and said coldly, if you don't give me a satisfactory answer, don't blame me for being impolite. Yuji smiled bitterly. The life seal was too important. Originally, the life seal was Yang Hongwu's treasure. Moreover, when Yang Hongwu went through the lightning tribulation of the Great Tao, they were sent into the life seal's world. Logically speaking, the life continent they were in now should be a small plane of the life seal's world. It could be said that Yang Hongwu was the master of this world. However, Yang Hongwu's cultivation hadn't recovered, and he couldn't control this world. Song Zizai's words can't be trusted. Nangong Sini said, "Can't be trusted? You think you can just say that?" Yang Hongwu sneered. This woman was too self-righteous. Let me tell you, the news of the life seal is very important to me. Originally, I didn't do anything to you because of Yuji. If you don't give me a reasonable explanation, no one can protect you. As he said that, Yang Hongwu's killing intent was exposed. Yuji and Bai Iran were shocked. It was the first time they saw him so angry at a woman, and a beautiful woman at that. All along, in their memory, Yang Hongwu was a man who cared for women. But this time, such a terrifying killing intent was not hidden at all. I know the news of the life seal. After a while, Nangong Sini said. Nangong Sini smiled bitterly at Yang Hongwu's killing intent. She thought to herself, this little bastard really wants to kill me. When he goes to the goddess palace, I must teach him a lesson. Hearing Nangong Sini's words, Yuji breathed a sigh of relief. If Nangong Sini really went against Yang Hongwu, and even caused Yang Hongwu and the goddess palace to turn against each other, she would be caught in the middle. After all, the goddess palace had helped her. However, Yang Hongwu was the most important. Nothing could compare to Yang Hongwu. If they really turned against each other, then she could only let down the goddess palace. After the matter of the divine sword steel is over, I will tell you about the life seal. Nangong Sini added, remember what you said. Yang Hongwu waved his hand coldly and ignored Nangong Sini. Yang Hongwu had a good impression of this woman at first, but now, Yang Hongwu did not have a good impression of her. In fact, Yang Hongwu also knew what the life seal was. It was a supreme treasure. If the two of them were in different positions, Yang Hongwu would probably kill Song Zizai directly. Let's go and find the divine sword steel. Nangong Sini waved her hand and said to the people of the goddess palace behind her, let me give you a warning. The divine sword steel is not something you can touch. Yang Hongwu said coldly. The divine sword steel was so terrifying that even Yang Hongwu himself could not get close to it. The terrifying sword intent was enough to destroy heaven and earth. With the strength of Nangong Sini and the others, they would definitely be courting death if they went there. Chapter 1364. Tiandu boy, why would you be so kind? Nangong Sini looked at Yang Hongwu in surprise. I just don't want you to die there. No one will be able to tell me about the life seal. Yang Hongwu said. Nangong Sini looked at Yang Hongwu for a while, then looked at Yuji. Seeing Yuji nod, Nangong Sini said, all right, I'll believe you this time. As soon as she said that, a rustling sound came from not far away. Nangong Sini and the others' faces changed when they saw that the plants nearby had withered. Poison technique, what a terrifying poison technique. Get out of the way, don't let it touch you. Otherwise, it'll be very troublesome. Nangong Sini said loudly. It's Tiandu boy. Ha, ha, it's a disciple of the goddess palace. TSK, good, very good. I didn't expect to meet a disciple of the goddess palace when I come out of seclusion again. At this moment, a voice was heard. It was a short man who looked like a child. However, this child was wearing blue clothes. His eyes were fixed on the girls, and his saliva was about to drip out. When the disciples of the goddess palace saw the appearance of boy of heaven capital, they all retreated. They all took out their weapons and looked very nervous. What kind of trash is Tiandu boy? Yang Hongwu didn't understand. This guy didn't seem to be very strong. He was only an early great emperor. Why was Nangong Sini so afraid of him? One had to know that Nangong Sini had just killed Song Zizai, a half-step true god expert. It was strange that she was afraid of Tiandu boy. Tiandu boy has obtained the inheritance of Sky, poison true god. His poison technique is unfathomable. No one can resist it. Even half-step true God realm experts can't resist his poison technique. Moreover, Tian Boy is extremely lustful. Who knows how many women he has played with. Back then, even the palace lord of Goddess Palace almost fell for his trick. Nangong Sini gritted her teeth in anger. Alas, there was nothing she could do against Tian Boy. Not only was he proficient in poison, his escape and concealment techniques were terrifying as well. If he wanted to escape, no one could stop him. Because of this, even though everyone hated him to the bone, no one was able to capture him. Back then, the Goddess Palace, Common Life Temple, and several other great powers tried to surround him but failed to kill him. However, in recent years, Tian Boy had gone into hiding and hadn't appeared for many years. Who would have thought that Tian Boy would appear today? Most likely, he was here for the Sword Dao Divine Steel. This time, the battle for the Sword Dao Divine Steel was indeed filled with experts. Moreover, all kinds of demons and monsters had appeared. The Sword Dao Divine Steel was too attractive. Countless people wanted to obtain it. This time, the entire Common Life continent would be in a bloodbath because of the Sword Dao Divine Steel. Seeing Tian Boy approaching step by step, the people of Goddess Palace kept retreating. Tian Boy, do you want to die? Nangong Sini shouted. Ha! Little beauty, do you think you can kill me? Tian Boy laughed and stared at Nangong Sini. Not bad, not bad. You are mine. Tian Boy pointed at Nangong Sini, Yuji, and Bai Iran. Yang Hongwu's eyes emitted a cold light. What did you say? Oh, there's actually a gigolo. Hearing Yang Hongwu's words, Tian Boy laughed contemptuously and said, I didn't expect that the eldest disciple of Goddess Palace would have a gigolo. Tian Boy hate gigolos the most. Saying this, Tian Boy flicked his finger. A dark green light, like a small snake, instantly arrived in front of Yang Hongwu. You're courting death. Seeing this, Yang Hongwu's eyes burst out with terrifying killing intent. With a wave of his hand, a ball of fire appeared. This was the divine fire, the Red Lotus Hellfire. Now, the strength of the Red Lotus Hellfire had already become very terrifying. The Red Lotus Hellfire that erupted was even more terrifying. This ball of flame could burn everything. It was absolutely a terrifying existence in the myriad worlds. A mere poison technique was nothing in front of the Red Lotus Hellfire. The green light was instantly incinerated by the Red Lotus Hellfire. Divine Flame, this is the Divine Flame. Tian Boy's expression changed slightly when he saw his poison technique being burned. He was very confident in his poison technique. His poison technique was unparalleled in the world. No one could resist it. The only thing that could restrain his poison technique was the Divine Flame. This was the only thing that could restrain the Divine Flame. In the past, Tian Boy relied on his poison technique to dominate the mortal continent. However, he never dared to provoke those who possessed the Divine Flame, because he knew that the Divine Flame was the only nemesis of his poison technique. Back then, he was surrounded by several major forces. Several of them possessed the Divine Flame and were extremely powerful. Therefore, Tian Boy had no choice but to hide. Now that 100 years had passed, Tian Boy's strength had improved. His poison technique had reached a new level. His poison technique was not afraid of the Divine Flame. Therefore, when the Divine Sword Steel appeared this time, he was so bold. He dared to appear here and fight for the Divine Sword Steel. He did not expect to see someone who possessed the Divine Flame as soon as he appeared. Moreover, this person's strength was only in the Great Saint realm. A mere Great Saint realm martial artist possessed the Divine Flame. This made Tian Boy somewhat fearful. However, he did not think that this lad could withstand his poison technique. Gigolo, I did not expect you to possess the Divine Flame. Tian Boy was somewhat fearful. He said, Lad, you can leave now. He was not afraid of Yang Hongwu. However, he had to consider the forces behind Yang Hongwu. This time, his main target was the Divine Sword Steel. Originally, when he saw the disciples of the Goddess Pavilion, he was tempted. However, considering the importance of the Divine Sword Steel, he had to restrain himself. Although his poison technique was unparalleled and he was powerful, his cultivation level was not up to par. After all, His cultivation level was only at the peak of the 3rd level of the Great Emperor realm. Moreover, he had been stuck in this realm for a long time. In order to break through, he wanted to obtain the Divine Sword Steel. If he could obtain the Divine Sword Steel, his cultivation level would increase by leaps and bounds. In addition to his supreme poison technique, he would be able to do whatever he wanted in this world. Even if he entered the deity plane, he would be invincible. Chapter 1365. The wrath of Tian Du Boy trembled with anger. He pointed at Yang Hongwu and said, "Hey, you brat, do you really think that I Tian Du Boy am a pushover? Humph, I said that no one could save you, so no one can save you. It's just a poison technique. It's like a child's play in front of me. It's not worth mentioning." What an arrogant tone. Don't think that you can be unscrupulous just because you have the divine fire. Ordinary poison masters can't resist your divine fire, but I, Tian Du Boy, am different. I have cultivated for 100 years and finally developed a powerful poison technique. Even the divine fire can't burn this poison technique. Today, I will use this supreme poison technique to kill you. It's your honor to be killed by the poison technique that I have developed for 100 years. Tian Du Boy raised his hand slightly, and a mass of dark green energy appeared above his hands. Then, this mass of dark green energy turned into a strange beast. This strange beast looked like a snake, but was not a snake. Annihilation, poison dragon, go. As soon as his voice fell, the strange beast turned into a green light and shot towards Yang Hongwu. Its speed was so fast that it was difficult to see it with the naked eye. Go to hell, brat. I didn't want to kill you, but you didn't know how to appreciate kindness. You asked for it. Tian Du Boy smiled. In his eyes, Yang Hongwu was already a dead man. So what if he had the divine fire? The world-annihilating poison dragon was a supreme poison technique that he had developed with the help of the true God's secret technique. Not only could it restrain the divine fire, but it could also increase the power of the world-annihilating poison dragon with the help of the divine fire. Therefore, in his heart, Yang Hongwu was bound to die. Humph! Yang Hongwu looked at the strange beast that looked like a snake rushing towards him. Yang Hongwu didn't care at all. After a light snort, a light burst out. It was the red karmic fire lotus. The red karmic fire lotus protected Yang Hongwu in the middle. When the annihilation poison dragon rushed to his side, it was burned by the red karmic fire lotus. It made a sizzling sound. Seeing this scene, Tian Du Boy's eyes widened in shock. Impossible. He couldn't believe his eyes. He had paid a huge price to research this poison technique. If it weren't for this poison technique, his cultivation wouldn't have stagnated at the early stage of the Great Emperor realm. However, everything that was happening in front of him made him extremely angry. He couldn't believe it. The poison technique that he had painstakingly researched couldn't even kill a great sage expert. This was like a stab to his heart. Not only did this poison technique fail to kill Yang Hongwu, it seemed to have made him even stronger. Is this what you're relying on? Yang Hongwu chuckled. With a wave of his hand, a ball of flame completely destroyed the poison technique, turning it into nothingness. If that's the case, then you can go die. Hearing this, everyone was stunned, especially the disciples of the goddess pavilion. Their mouths were wide open as if this was something unbelievable. At this moment, Nangong Sini and the others couldn't calm down at all. Was this still the insufferably arrogant Tian Du Boy? He couldn't even deal with Yang Hongwu alone. His invincible poison technique was so vulnerable in front of Yang Hongwu. Surprise! This was really too much of a surprise. Good job. Young Master Yang, kill him. Kill Tian Du Boy. After a period of silence, the disciples of the goddess palace began to shout loudly. That's right. Kill this bastard. Kill this scum. All of them hated Tian Du Boy to the bone and wanted nothing more than to tear him to pieces. From this, one could see how hateful he was. Master Yang, as long as you kill Tian Du Boy, I'll do whatever you want me to do. Me too. The female disciples of the goddess pavilion shouted. Yang Hongwu didn't know whether to laugh or cry when he heard this, while Yuji glared at Yang Hongwu. Damn it. Tian Du Boy felt a great threat and was furious. Kill him, he must kill him. At this time, Tiandu Boy hated Yang Hongwu to the extreme. In his heart, Yang Hongwu was too much of a threat to him. Although Yang Hongwu's cultivation was only in the Great Saint realm, it was because of this that he felt terrified. He had spent a great deal of effort to develop his poison technique, but it was so vulnerable in front of him. Thinking back, several experts with divine fire besieged him together, but he didn't feel such a great threat. Therefore, this guy must be killed. He rolled his eyes, and the corner of his mouth hooked up into a sneer. My poison technique is useless against you. But what about the others? Tiandu Boy pointed at the others and said loudly, "Let's see how many people your divine fire can protect." Saying this, Tiandu Boy waved his hand and a mass of green energy burst out, turning into a poisonous fog that covered the sky and shrouded the crowd. "Oh no! Everyone get out of the way! You can't escape!" Tiandu Boy shouted with a ferocious face. "My poison technique has improved since 100 years ago. None of you can escape. All of you will die, ha!" Tiandu Boy laughed wildly. "I don't want to die. I don't want to die. Tiandu Boy, you will die a horrible death. Master Yang, help!" At this moment, the scene became very chaotic. The disciples of the goddess palace were constantly retreating towards Yang Hongwu. "Yang Hongwu, I beg you, please save the disciples of goddess palace." At this time, Nangong Sini also knew the seriousness of the matter. She had no way to deal with Tiandu Boy's poison technique. Since Yang Hongwu could break Tiandu Boy's supreme poison technique, he must have a way to save everyone. Therefore, Nangong Sini had no other choice. Even if she was unwilling, she could only ask Yang Hongwu for help. "Husband, I know you must have a way. Please save my senior and junior sisters." Yuji said to Yang Hongwu. "Take these pills," said Yi Fuqian. Although Yang Hongwu was helpless, he could not watch Yuji's sisters die under Tiandu Boy's poison technique. The pills he took out were the antidote pills. Although Tiandu Boy's poison technique was powerful, Yang Hongwu's antidote pills could easily remove the poison. Chapter 1366. Supreme Poison Technique. When Yuji distributed the detoxification pills, the disciples of the goddess palace were stunned. Detoxification pills. These are detoxification pills, my God. Isn't the recipe of detoxification pills lost? 10 pill veins. These are 100% effectiveness pills. Such precious pills, my God. What is young Master Yang's background? Idiot. Call him brother-in-law. Young Master Yang is senior sister Yuji's husband. We should call him brother-in-law. Yes, I knew it. How could the person that senior sister Yuji likes be so simple? It turns out that brother-in-law is an alchemist, a powerful alchemist. Nangong Sini's mood was very complicated. She did not expect Yang Hongwu to be so powerful that he could take out such precious pills. Detoxification pills with 10 pill markings were no ordinary pills. These pills were extremely precious, and people would fight over them if they were casually taken out. Even those old antiques would not hesitate to pay any price to get their hands on these pills. However, Yang Hongwu did not hesitate and took out so many precious detoxification pills. This proved that Yang Hongwu's identity was not simple. One was that he had a huge force behind him, and he had a supreme alchemist. The other possibility was that Yang Hongwu himself was a powerful alchemist. Such a powerful alchemist in the common people's continent, even in the divine domain, there was no one like him. His status was extremely noble. The disciples of the goddess palace were all overjoyed, but Tiandu Boy was miserable. His heart was terrified to the extreme. Detoxification pills, this damn brat. He actually had detoxification pills that could easily detoxify his poison technique. This was simply his nemesis. His poison technique was unparalleled in the world. This was his foundation. The most important reason why he could move freely in the common people's continent was that he had unparalleled poison technique, and no one could detoxify it. But now detoxification pills appeared, and these detoxification pills could easily detoxify his poison technique. How could he not be terrified? If everyone had this kind of detoxification pill and was not afraid of his poison technique, then wouldn't the end of him, Tiandu Boy, have arrived? This was something he absolutely did not want to see. He did not want to die. Let's go. Tian Du Bois saw that his poison technique was dispelled. His poison technique had no effect on the disciples of Goddess Palace and Yang Hongwu. If he didn't leave, he would die. He swore that he would never see Yang Hongwu again. Wherever this brat was, he absolutely could not appear. Otherwise, he might die in the hands of Yang Hongwu. Tian Du Bois' poison technique was unparalleled. His concealment technique and escape technique were also unparalleled. After realizing that he could not kill Yang Hongwu or the disciples of the Goddess Palace, he chose to escape. However, what he did not expect was that although his escape technique was unparalleled, Yang Hongwu's escape technique was even more terrifying than his. In a flash, Yang Hongwu appeared in front of him, blocking his way. Tian Du Bois, if you want to escape, you have to ask for my permission first. Boy of Tiandu felt a huge pressure. A terrifying spiritual energy had locked onto him, making him terrified. What was worse was that he did not see how Yang Hongwu appeared in front of him. One should know that Yang Hongwu was dozens of feet away from him, but in the blink of an eye, Yang Hongwu appeared in front of him. Such speed was simply terrifying. Go, go, go. At this moment, Tian Du Bois had no other thoughts, and even the desire for revenge had long disappeared. The only thought in his mind was to escape from here, quickly escape from here. He immediately used his supreme escape technique, wanting to escape into the void and escape from here. However, the next moment he was dumbfounded. His unparalleled escape technique, which had always worked, had lost its effect at this moment. This side of the world was sealed. He was extremely terrified. How can this be? How can my escape technique be useless? His escape technique was absolutely incomparably powerful. Even when several major forces besieged him and completely sealed the space, he still relied on his escape technique to escape. However, this time around, his originally unparalleled escape technique had lost its effect. It did not allow him to successfully escape. The greatest life-saving trump card had lost its effect. At this moment, one could imagine the fear in Tian Du Bois' heart. Devil, you're a devil. You're the one who made me unable to use my escape technique? Tian Du Bois looked terrified, pointing at Yang Hongwu. Who the hell are you? Hearing Tian Du Bois' words and seeing the terrified look on his face, the female disciples of Goddess Palace were shocked. Yang Hongwu was really too powerful. Tian Du Bois had two invincible trump cards. One was the supreme poison technique. The other was his life-saving trump card, and the other was the invincible escape technique. No one had ever been able to catch him, but now, these two secret techniques had lost their effect in front of Yang Hongwu. Yang Hongwu was simply the nemesis of Tian Du Bois. He had completely restrained Tian Du Bois. His poison technique was ineffective, and his escape technique was ineffective. Without these two trump cards, Tian Du Bois was just an early Great Emperor Realm warrior. Who am I? The person who will kill you. Yang Hongwu's eyes shot out a cold light, condensing a ball of light in his hand. There was a worm in the light. It was a soul-devouring worm. Yang Hongwu said, "Since you like to use poison, I'll let you die under the supreme poison." The soul-devouring worm could devour souls, and the soul-devouring worm queen had another terrifying ability, which was the soul-devouring poison. However, very few people knew about this soul-devouring poison. After all, the soul-devouring worm was extremely terrifying, and almost no one could resist it. No one had ever caught a soul-devouring worm queen, so naturally, no one knew that it could release the soul-devouring poison. No matter what kind of living creature it was, once infected with the soul-devouring poison, they would have to endure the pain of their soul being constantly devoured. No matter how strong the opponent's soul was, there was no way to resist or expel this terrifying soul-devouring poison. Those who had been poisoned by this terrifying poison would suffer a fate worse than death. They would have to endure endless pain. Even if their physical bodies died, their souls would continue to be tortured. Soul-devouring worm. This is a soul-devouring worm. You're a devil. I don't want to be devoured by a soul-devouring worm. Tian Du Bois was also an expert, so he certainly knew about the soul-devouring worm. When he saw that there was a soul-devouring worm in Yang Hongwu's hand, his soul trembled and his short body trembled. It was the soul-devouring worm. Once one was devoured by the soul-devouring worm, their soul would dissipate and they would die. You're quite knowledgeable to know about the soul-devouring worm. However, you definitely don't know about the soul-devouring poison. Yang Hongwu chuckled. Little guy go. Chapter 1367. One after another, Tian-Du boy was terrified by the soul-devouring insect, but there was nothing he could do. He could only watch as the soul-devouring insect entered his body. Then he felt the pain of his soul being devoured. He felt that his soul was being torn apart and devoured. That kind of pain was not something that an ordinary person could endure. However, he could clearly feel it. His body could not move. He could not even commit suicide, even if he wanted to. Tian-Du boy's face kept changing, becoming extremely ferocious. Kill me, Tian-Du boy shouted. You want to die? Not so easy. Yang Hongwu coldly snorted. How could he let someone who dared to have ideas about his woman die so easily? Wouldn't that be too easy for him? Yang Hongwu walked over, but he did not kill him. Instead, he crippled his cultivation and shattered his dantian. Even his battle body was shattered by Yang Hongwu. At this moment, Tian-Du boy was like an ordinary person, without a trace of cultivation. What's worse was that he had been poisoned by the soul-devouring poison. This terrible poison would make him suffer a fate worse than death. Let's go. Yang Hongwu turned and said, You're letting him go just like that? Nangong Sini frowned slightly. His cultivation has been crippled by me, and he has been poisoned by the soul-devouring poison. He's better off dead. Killing him is just letting him off easy. Yang Hongwu said, Of course, I have no objections if you still want to punish him. As for the treasures on Tian-Du boy, they had already been taken away by Yang Hongwu. His storage ring was already in Yang Hongwu's hands. One had to admit that Tian-Du boy was very rich. There were countless treasures in the ring, most of which were strange herbs. Of course, most of them were poisons. There were hundreds of emperor-grade poisons, which shocked Yang Hongwu. As an alchemist, these poisons could also be used to refine pills. There were even emperor-grade medicines that could be used to refine the emperor breakthrough pill. Thank you very much. Hearing this, Nangong Sini was delighted. She winked at the disciple beside her. The disciple of the goddess pavilion understood and grabbed Tian-Du boy. Like dragging a dead dog, she dragged him up with a chain. Yang Hongwu only smiled and didn't say anything. He had taken all of boy Tian-Du's treasures, including the poison scripture. In Yang Hongwu's eyes, boy Tian-Du's value had been squeezed dry. However, the goddess palace could still squeeze some benefits out of him. For example, Tian-Du boy should have hidden a lot of treasures in his residence. Tian-Du boy had roamed the mortal continent for so many years. It would be strange if he didn't have any treasures in his cave. You guys take Tian-Du boy back to the goddess palace. Junior sister Yuji and I will go and seize the divine sword steel. Nangong Sini said, Senior sister, we can't do that. Now there are countless experts gathered here. It's too dangerous if only you and junior sister Yuji are here. A female disciple said, Don't worry. Have you forgotten junior sister Yuji's husband? Nangong Sini pointed at Yang Hongwu. The female disciple thought about it and said, Well, young Master Yang, the safety of our senior sister and junior sister Yuji depends on you. Yang Hongwu was speechless. It turned out that this chick was actually relying on him. After the disciples of the goddess palace took Tian-Du boy away, Nangong Sini breathed a sigh of relief. She looked at Yang Hongwu and said, Young Master Yang, let's go and seize the divine sword steel. I'm not going. Yang Hongwu shook his head. Nangong Sini heard this and said to Yuji, Since young Master Yang is not going, then junior sister Yuji, let's go. The divine sword steel is a treasure of heaven and earth. It is said that it is comparable to the life seal. If you can get the divine sword steel, you can open the legendary sword realm and comprehend the supreme sword principle. You can even open the legendary sword realm. Husband. Yuji looked at Yang Hongwu and said, Let's go and have a look, okay? Yuji's method of acting coquettishly was superb. She was the most seductive among all his women. Seeing her expression, Yang Hongwoo's heart suddenly became hot. This seductive woman was simply asking for his life. However, Yang Hongwoo still shook his head and said, "No, it's too dangerous. Now that it has become a huge meat grinder, I don't know how many people will die there. Even half-step true God experts are no exception. Once we get involved, it will be very dangerous. Husband, I believe that you can protect us. Moreover, we're just going to look from afar. We're not going to snatch the divine sword steel." Yuji said, "I've never seen such a supreme treasure before. Now that my cultivation has reached its limit, the reason why I'm taking the risk this time is to use this opportunity to break the shackles and enter a higher level. If you're not going, then I'll go by myself." All right, Yang Hongwoo sighed. The reason why he didn't want to participate was that he felt a great threat. Moreover, the appearance of the divine sword steel was definitely not that simple. What worried Yang Hongwoo the most was that the closer he got to the divine sword steel, the greater the danger. Moreover, if he got too close to the divine sword steel, he wouldn't be able to arrange the array. This was the biggest variable for Yang Hongwoo. If he couldn't arrange the array, it meant that he couldn't use his greatest trump card. If he could arrange the array, Yang Hongwoo could use the power of the array to fight against a half-step true God realm expert. However, without the help of the array, although Yang Hongwoo's strength was not bad, he could only fight against an ordinary Great Emperor realm expert. If he encountered a half-step true God realm expert, he could only escape. However, we can only stay in the periphery. We can't enter the range of 500 feet from the divine sword steel, Yang Hongwoo said in a very serious tone. Of course, Yuji said. Nangong Sini's lips curled into a smile. Yang Hongwoo and Bai Iran, who had originally planned to leave, turned around again and rushed in the direction of the divine sword steel. At this time, the aura of the divine sword steel was getting stronger and stronger. There were also more and more experts around. Some ancient existences also appeared at this time. With the appearance of the divine sword steel, all kinds of people came. Moreover, Yang Hongwoo knew that powerful forces like the Common Life Temple, the Goddess Palace, and the others would definitely send more experts here than those who had just appeared. In the Common Life Temple, there were probably a few old antiques who had appeared. The Goddess Palace should be the same. It was impossible for the Goddess Palace to only let Nangong Sini bring a group of disciples here. None of the old antiques from the Goddess Palace appeared. This was a bit strange. Chapter 1368. Armageddon. After a few steps, Nangong Sini and Yuji's expression changed. Oh no, it's our Goddess Palace's distress signal. Did something happen to junior sister Xian and the others? Nangong Sini didn't expect that junior sister Xian and the others would send out a distress signal in such a short distance. She moved quickly and chased after the source of the distress signal. Yang Hongwoo and Yuji looked at each other and chased after him. After a while, Yang Hongwoo saw the disciples of the Goddess Palace. At this moment, the disciples of the Goddess Palace were fighting. Among them, there were two experts. These two experts were very strong, but they were being suppressed. Because they had to protect the female disciples of the Goddess Palace, they were forced to retreat step by step. The opponents were also two strong experts. One of them was a half-step true God realm expert, and the other was a peak invincible Great Emperor realm expert. There were also many other experts. Yang Hongwoo could tell from their clothes that they were from the Common Life Temple. The people of the Goddess Palace and the Common Life Temple were fighting. The two people fighting with the experts of the Common Life Temple were none other than the two elders of the Goddess Palace. "Elder Ru, Elder Shao, let me help you," Nangong Sini shouted and turned into a shadow, rushing forward. Damn it! The old ancestor of the Common Life Temple was shocked. Nangong Sini wasn't weak. She was one of the most outstanding young experts of the Goddess Palace. Of course, she was still weaker than Sheng Yuansheng of the Common Life Temple. However, when they arrived, they found that Sheng Yuansheng and Song Zizai's aura had disappeared, and their jade tablets were broken. This meant that they were dead. Although they didn't know how they died, they knew that it had something to do with the Goddess Palace. Originally, the Common Life Temple had already received news that the Goddess Palace had obtained the treasure related to the Common Life Great Seal. It was a jade tablet. Connecting the two things together, they decided to attack the people of the goddess palace. They didn't expect that Nangong Sini would appear when they were about to take them down. They thought that if Sheng Yuansheng and Song Zizai died in the hands of Nangong Sini, then Nangong Sini wouldn't have an easy time. However, after seeing Nangong Sini, they knew that they were wrong. Nangong Sini wasn't injured at all, and her strength great Emperor realm. She even had the possibility of breaking through the half-step true God realm. With this, their advantage was instantly wiped out. Huang Yiyu, you're courting death. Lu Xinshin's eyes shot out a ray of cold light. At this critical moment, he had no choice but to use his trump card. Originally, this trump card was only going to be revealed when I was preparing to seize the Divine Sword Principal Tablet. However, since you guys are courting death, I have no choice but to reveal this trump card now. Saying that, Lu Shunshin held up an item with both hands. As soon as the item appeared, it exploded with a terrifying light, revealing a terrifying aura. This aura was so terrifying that it seemed like it was going to destroy the heavens and earth. It was a purplish-black pearl. Terrifying lightning flashed on the purplish-black pearl. Apocalyptic Dharma lightning. This is the apocalyptic Dharma lightning. Huang Yi and Nangong Sini were terrified when they saw the item. Yang Hongwu was also shocked when he saw the item. He didn't expect the apocalyptic Dharma lightning to appear here. Yang Hongwu had obtained the apocalyptic Dharma lightning before. This item was terrifyingly powerful. Once it exploded, it could completely destroy a part of the world. This guy actually took out this item. Wasn't he afraid that he would be killed as well? One must know that this wasn't any other item but the apocalyptic Dharma lightning. Yang Hongwu could sense that the energy contained in this apocalyptic Dharma lightning was extremely terrifying. Compared to the apocalyptic Dharma lightning he obtained before, it was stronger and not weaker. Could this mortal continent withstand the destructive power of the apocalyptic Dharma lightning? Yang Hongwu didn't know. He wasn't confident. However, Yang Hongwu saw that the two of them took out this item without fear. They should also know the power of this item. Perhaps they had a way to limit the power of the apocalyptic Dharma lightning to a certain extent. However, no matter what, Yang Hongwu was very clear that once the apocalyptic Dharma lightning was unleashed, Huang Yi, Nangong Sini, and even Yang Hongwu by Iran and Yuji had no way to resist this terrifying apocalyptic Dharma lightning. If they really let the apocalyptic Dharma lightning explode, they would all die here. Husband, we must not let that guy use the apocalyptic Dharma lightning. Yuji said, stall for time. A cold light flashed in Yang Hongwu's eyes. When he first seized the apocalyptic Dharma lightning, he had to arrange a formation. The detonation of the apocalyptic Dharma lightning required spiritual power. Now, he could only arrange a formation to seal the spiritual power of the two old things. Only then could he seize the apocalyptic Dharma lightning. Therefore, Yang Hongwu transmitted a message to Nangong Sini. Nangong Sini, you have to stall for time. As long as you can stall for 30 breaths of time, I can seize the apocalyptic Dharma lightning. Otherwise, once the apocalyptic Dharma lightning explodes, we will all die here. Are you confident? Nangong Sini said. Do you have any other ideas? Yang Hongwu snorted coldly. Stall for time. I have to arrange a formation. Nangong Sini really had no other ideas. This was the apocalyptic Dharma lightning. Now, they could only stall for time and not let Lu Shunshin detonate it. Lu Shunshin, what do you want? Nangong Sini made a decision and stopped attacking. She looked at Lu Shunshin from afar with Huang Yi and the others. Her face was pale. Don't tell me you want to die together. The apocalyptic Dharma lightning is very powerful. If you detonate it, we will die, but so will you. Nangong Sini, you have the chi of Sheng Yuansheng and Elder Song on you. Did you kill them? Lu Shenshin noticed the trace of blood chi on Nangong Sini's body. This trace of special blood chi was the result of killing a disciple of the Common Life Temple. This trace of blood chi only appeared on the core disciples of the Common Life Temple. No matter who it was, as long as they killed a core disciple of the Common Life Temple, they would be surrounded by this trace of blood chi. It would not dissipate for a year. Therefore, once the disciples of the Common Life Temple found someone with this special blood chi, they would know that that person must have killed a core disciple of the Common Life Temple. Chapter 1369. By time Nangong Sini's expression changed. She did not expect Lu Shanshan to have a secret technique that could tell that she was the one who killed Sheng Yuansheng and Song Zizai. But so what? As long as Yang Hongwu succeeded, they would all die. In addition, Huang Yi did not expect Nangong Sini to be able to kill both Sheng Yuansheng and Song Zizai. One must know that both of them were stronger than Nangong Sini. She did not expect them to be killed by her. It was too surprising. However, when she thought of the boy of Tiandu who had been captured not far away, she felt relieved. She believed that Sheng Yuansheng and Song Zizai had fought with the boy of Tiandu, and both sides had been injured. Then, Nangong Sini had taken advantage of the situation. Only in this way could Nangong Sini have killed Song Zizai and Sheng Yuansheng. Otherwise, even if Nangong Sini's cultivation had improved and broken through the shackles, she would not be a match for Song Zizai and Sheng Yuansheng. That's right, I killed the two of them. So what? What do you want? Nangong Sini asked coldly. Are you going to avenge them? With your strength, you are no match for Elder Song and Elderly. Lu Shanshan was a little afraid. Although Nangong Sini was also a genius, she was not as strong as Sheng Yuansheng, let alone Song Zizai. If Sheng Yuansheng was alone, she might have a chance, but with Song Zizai by his side, Nangong Sini would not be able to kill the two of them without suffering any injuries. Therefore, she must have used some special method to trick the two of them. Therefore, Lu Shanshan was very wary of Nangong Sini. He was even more wary of her than Huang Yi, an ancestor of the goddess palace. They are indeed very strong, but they were still killed by me. They can only blame themselves for being too arrogant. Moreover, they were very arrogant and wanted to kill Tiandu boy. Nangong Sini was a smart person. Of course, she would not expose Yang Hongwu at this time. Instead, she planned to use Tiandu boy to stall for time. Tiandu boy? Lu Shanshan and the others looked at each other. If it was really Tiandu boy, he could definitely deal with Sheng Yuansheng and Song Zizai. You colluded with Tiandu boy? Lu Shanshan was shocked and worried. He looked around and was boy's way. If Tiandu boy was here, it would be a big problem. If Tiandu boy was here, there would be trouble. They cannot stop Tiandu. Tiandu Nangong Yi. Nangong Sini snorted. You don't need to be so worried. Tiandu boy's cultivation has been destroyed by me, and he is under my control. Nangong Sini turned to junior sister Xin and said, Junior sister Xin, bring Tiandu boy here. Tiandu boy, is this really Tiandu boy? Yes, it's him. He is Tiandu boy. I have seen him before. Lu Shanshan said. Nangong Sini saw that Lu Shanshan had changed his mind and hurriedly said, In fact, I had no choice but to kill Sheng Yuansheng and Song Zizai because they were poisoned by Tiandu boy. Tiandu boy has been cultivating for 100 years and has mastered a supreme poison technique. This supreme poison technique can control people's minds. Sheng Yuansheng and Song Zizai were poisoned by Tiandu boy's poison technique. If it were not for Tiandu boy's incomplete poison technique, Sheng Yuansheng and Song Zizai would have been completely controlled by Tiandu boy. Then why are you fine? Lu Shanshan was smart and cunning. How could he easily believe Nangong Sini's words? Moreover, who is Tiandu boy? How could he let go of Nangong Sini and the other disciples of the goddess palace? Therefore, although Nangong Sini's explanation was reasonable, there were still many loopholes and could not stand up to scrutiny. Nangong Sini knew very well that it was impossible to make Lu Shanshan completely believe her words. Lu Shanshan was an old man who was cunning and cunning. How could he be so easily deceived by Nangong Sini? However, Nangong Sini did not want to make Lu Shanshan completely believe her. She just wanted to buy time. Now, she had completely achieved her goal. When I arrived, both sides were injured. Moreover, why would I go to die? As the senior sister of the goddess palace, I am responsible for the lives of the disciples of the goddess palace. I will not let the disciples of the goddess palace pay the price with their lives for the disciples of the common life temple. In my eyes, The lives of the disciples of the Goddess Palace are much more precious than the lives of Sheng, Yuansheng, and Song Zizai. Nangong Sini said, You were not going to save them? Lu Shunshin was angry. He was very angry at Nangong Sini's behavior. Why should I save them? Nangong Sini asked back. That's right. Why should I risk the lives of the disciples of the Goddess Palace to save the disciples of the Common Life Temple? Yellow Dress Ru said. Sini, this time you did well. Damn it, you all deserve to die. Lu Shunshin was furious. At this moment, Yang Hongwu moved. He disappeared in an instant and appeared in front of Lu Shunshin. He kicked Lu Shunshin away and took the destructive Dharma thunder from his hand. This sudden change stunned everyone. No one had expected such a thing to happen. Yellow Dress Ru was also stunned. However, she was very happy. The destructive Dharma thunder in Lu Shunshin's hand was taken away. This meant that the crisis was over. Without the destructive Dharma thunder in Lu Shunshin's hand, they naturally did not need to worry about being threatened by Lu Shunshin. But the next moment, they were also dumbfounded, because they found that they could not use their cultivation. Their magic power was sealed. What's going on? My cultivation and magic power are sealed. Yellow Dress Ru was terrified and shouted. Lu Shunshin was kicked away by Yang Hongwu and hit the ground. Obviously, he was injured. He also found that his cultivation was gone. His magic power was also sealed. Without cultivation and magic power, he was just an ordinary person. It was just that his physical body was stronger than those ordinary people. Kindu boy, no, who are you? Lu Shunshin looked at Yang Hongwu in horror. Sini, what's going on? Yellow Dress Ru also looked at Nangong Sini and pointed at Yang Hongwu. Who is he? Elder Ru. His name is Yang Hongwu. He is junior sister Yuji's husband. Nangong Sini said. This time, it's all thanks to his help. Otherwise, all of our sisters would have died here. Chapter 1370. Coercion and bribery. Brat, what kind of demonic technique did you use? Quickly return the world, extinguishing Dharma lightning to me. Lu Shunshin wanted to snatch the apocalyptic Dharmic thunder, but he had lost his cultivation and was no match for Yang Hongwu. He was trampled under Yang Hongwu's foot. Little bastard, do you know what you're doing? Another elder of the Common Life Temple looked at Yang Hongwu and said coldly, You're going against the Common Life Temple. Quickly release us and remove the secret technique to restore our cultivation. Otherwise, there will be no place for you in the entire Common Life continent. Don't be afraid. Huangyi said, Little guy, you don't have to worry. You're Yuji's husband, which means you're a member of our Goddess Palace. Don't give them the world-extinguishing Dharma lightning. Although the Common Life Temple is strong, our Goddess Palace is not weak either. Brat, you better think it through. If you don't return the world-extinguishing Dharma lightning, you'll be hunted down by the entire Common Life Temple. You should know that the Common Life Temple is the strongest sect in the entire Common Life continent. Let me tell you, the strength of the Common Life Temple is beyond your imagination. As for the Goddess Palace, a mere Goddess Palace is like an ant in front of the Common Life Temple. It can be destroyed with a flick of a finger. Don't make a mistake and lose your life. Lu Shunshin looked at Yang Hongwu, feeling very nervous. He didn't want to die, so he could only threaten him. He hoped that this brat wouldn't be too impulsive. Now that he had lost his cultivation and spiritual power, he was very anxious. He knew that his life was completely in the hands of Yang Hongwu. If you want to kill them, they would all die without a doubt. Haha, old thing, you're thinking too much. You can't imagine young Master Yang's strength. A mere Common Life Temple is not in young Master Yang's eyes. Do you know why Tiandu Boy's cultivation was destroyed? Do you know why Song Zizai and Sheng Yuansheng died? At this time, Nangong Sini laughed and looked at Lu Shunshin's group with a sneer. Lu Shunshin's expression changed. He had guessed it. When their cultivation was sealed and the world-extinguishing Dharma lightning was stolen, Lu Shunshin knew it. The brat in front of him was absolutely terrifying strength. Sheng Yuansheng and Song Zizai's death, as well as Tiandu Boy's, was destroyed. Tiandu Boy's strength was frightening. His supreme poison technique was unparalleled. If Sheng Yuansheng and Song Zizai were to fight him, they would have no chance of winning, let alone crippling him. 2 was Yuanxing Yuansheng of Yuansheng and Yuanxing Tiandu. Of life of is of was Yuanxing Yuansheng Dai and Yuan. Of Yuan Yuansheng of Yuansheng Dai. From this, one could guess that the death of Sheng Yuansheng and Song Zizai, as well as the destruction of Tiandu boys' cultivation, were all because of one person. However, Lu Shunshin clearly knew the truth, but he did not reveal it. It was because he did not want to die. If he revealed the truth, it would mean that he had completely fallen out with the young man in front of him. In that case, he would die without a doubt. Therefore, in order to survive, he did not reveal it. However, what he did not expect was that Nangong Sini was not a fool. She knew the truth of the matter, but she still revealed it. Putting the truth on the table, this was to completely put them to death. Lu Shunshin looked at Nangong Sini with resentment. This damned bitch, her intentions were terrible. Brother-in-law, kill him. Kill these hypocrites of the Common Life Temple. None of them are good people. Kill them. Kill them. This old bastard killed one of my sisters. I saw it with my own eyes. If it was not because I was not strong enough, I would have done it already. The disciples of the goddess palace all shouted loudly. Lu Shunshin and the people of the Common Life Temple all had ugly expressions. Boy, you have to think carefully. Lu Shunshan said, you should know the strength of the Common Life Temple. If you let us go and return the destructive Dharma lightning to me, I can lead you to join the Common Life Temple. You can become a disciple of the Common Life Temple and replace Sheng Yuanxing's position. Coercion and enticement. Lu Shunshin had already reached the acme of perfection in this game. Joining the Common Life Temple and replacing Sheng Yuanxing's position was definitely a great temptation. He believed that not many people could resist such a temptation. Hearing Lu Shunshin's words, Huang Yi and the others became very nervous. They naturally knew how revered Sheng Yuanxing's position in the Common Life Temple was. It could be said that if there were no accidents, Sheng Yuansheng could definitely become the temple lord of the Common Life Temple. However, he was dead. He died in the hands of Nangong Sini. Young Master Yang, don't believe him. Sheng Yuansheng and Song Zizai died because of you. Moreover, you snatched the destructive Dharma lightning. The people of the Common Life Temple will never let you go. If you let Lu Shunshin and the others go and join the Common Life Temple, you will be walking into a trap. Nangong Sini said anxiously. Moreover, don't forget that junior sister Yuji is a disciple of the Goddess Palace. You have to think about the future of junior sister Yuji and you, right? It's just a woman. Just snatch her away. Moreover, if you join the Common Life Temple and become the young master of the Common Life Temple, what kind of woman can't you get? Lu Shanshan said loudly, if you become the young master of the Common Life Temple, you can choose the beauties of the Common Life Temple. You know Lu Yuyu, right? She is the #1 beauty of the Common Life Temple. If you join the Common Life Temple and become the young master of the Common Life Temple, Lu Yuyu will be your fiancée. She is the #1 beauty in the world. Hearing this, Nangong Sini and Huang Yi became nervous. Nangong Sini knew that she was a peerless beauty. There were not many people in the world who could be compared to her beauty. However, she had to admit that Lu Yuyu's appearance was unparalleled. She was fully deserving of the title of the world's #1 beauty. Junior sister Yuji. Nangong Sini looked at Yuji. However, Yuji and Bai Yiran showed a faint smile. Yang Hongwu was their husband. Both Yuji and Bai Yiran trusted their husband completely. It was impossible for Yang Hongwu to change his mind for a woman whom he had never seen before and whom he had no feelings for. Are you done? Yang Hongwu looked at them coldly and said. Chapter 1371. Kill them all. If you're done, you can die now. Yang Hongwu coldly harumphed as he flicked his finger, unleashing the Jingshin finger. This finger strike landed on Lu Shinshin's head, instantly piercing through it. His soul was also shattered, dissipating into thin air. Seeing Yang Hongwu's actions, the disciples of the Common Life Temple were dumbfounded. He actually dared to kill Elder Lu Shunshin. How audacious! This was a provocation to the Common Life Temple. How could he dare? You, another elder of the Common Life Temple pointed at him, trembling all over. You what? You can go to hell as well. Yang Hongwu killed one, but he didn't show any mercy to the others. Since he killed one, he naturally wouldn't leave the rest alive. Yang Hongwu raised his hand and swung his saber. After a few rounds, he killed all the disciples of the Common Life Holy Hall. Huang Yi and the others felt a chill in their hearts. He's a god of death. After killing everyone from the Common Life Temple, Yang Hongwu removed the formation. Yang Hongwu's cultivation base had not recovered to the Great Emperor realm. Such a formation consumed a lot of energy for Yang Hongwu. However, this little bit of consumption was really not worth mentioning when compared to the benefits he obtained. He obtained another world-extinguishing Dharma lightning. This world-extinguishing Dharma lightning was extremely powerful. If he faced a Tai true god, Yang Hongwu was confident that he could defeat him. Young Master Yang, thank you very much. If it wasn't for you, we would have died here. Nangong Sini said. You're welcome. Just do what you promised me. Yang Hongwu said. Don't worry. This time, I'll give it to you when we return to the goddess palace. Nangong Sini said. She knew very well that although that thing was a treasure, a supreme treasure, it was also a hot potato. Moreover, it was only a jade talisman, a clue. It was simply impossible to truly obtain the life seal. That thing was useless in a goddess palace. It was better to give it to Yang Hongwu as a favor. Now that you've killed all the elders of the Common Life Temple, what are you going to do? Although the Common Life Temple has lost a few elders and suffered heavy losses, the foundation of the Common Life Temple is extremely terrifying. To be able to occupy the title of the #1 power of the Common Life Temple for so many years, one can imagine the strength of the Common Life Temple. The strength that has been revealed on the surface is probably just the tip of the iceberg. Nangong Sini said. Sini's right. Lu Shenshin was not exaggerating. The Common Life Temple is definitely unfathomable. Even the Goddess Palace and the other 8 great powers might not be able to defeat the Common Life Temple. Huang Yi nodded and said. Huang Yi nodded. As an ancestor of the Goddess Palace, of course, she would know more about this. She was very afraid of the Common Life Temple. Not only was the Goddess Palace afraid of the Common Life Temple, but the other great powers were also very afraid of the Common Life Temple. However, the ancient existences in the Common Life Temple had already reached the peak of this world. They wouldn't easily appear because of the laws of this world. If they used their power, they would attract a heavenly tribulation. They weren't confident enough to resist the heavenly tribulation. Therefore, they wouldn't act unless it was absolutely necessary. Only when the Common Life Temple was in a life and death situation would they act. It's just the Common Life Temple, Yang Hongwu said with disdain. I don't put it in my eyes. Junior sister Yuji, I'm afraid your husband is a little arrogant. Although he has some ability, he's still far from being a match for the Common Life Temple. Nangong Sini saw Yang Hongwu being so arrogant, as if he was an invincible supreme being. She was quite angry. Yuji smiled and said, I believe in him. Nangong Sini and Huang Yi couldn't help but roll their eyes. Truly, birds of the same feather flock together. Both of them were so arrogant. After instructing the disciples of the Goddess Palace to clean up the scene, Nangong Sini said to Yang Hongwu, Now, shall we go and seize the sword Dao Divine Steel? Let's go take a look. Yang Hongwu said. Yang Hongwu felt that the sword Dao Divine Steel was not so simple. Yang Hongwu even guessed that the so-called sword Dao Divine Steel was deliberately released by someone. Perhaps it was the founding ancestor of the Sky Sword sect. Of course, all of this was just a guess. As for what was going on, Yang Hongwu did not know. However, one thing was certain. This time, it was very dangerous. Therefore, Yang Hongwu was unwilling to get involved in this muddy water. However, Yuji had spoken. If he did not go and take a look, he was afraid that Yuji, this great demoness, would not be satisfied. After all, Yuji was his woman. Moreover, she was his first woman. Soon, the group arrived 1,000 feet away from the sword Dao Divine Steel. They could see the towering sword, Tao Divine Steel, from afar. The sword Tao Divine Steel seemed to be shrouded by a layer of invisible force. There was no way to see the true face of the sword Tao Divine Steel. However, there were constant shouts and screams coming from below the sword Tao Divine Steel. The battle had already begun. It was a huge, chaotic battle. In fact, Yang Hongwu and the others knew that this was just the beginning. The ones who were fighting now were just some small forces. Some of the weaker martial artists were only at the initial Great Emperor realm. The real experts were still observing and had not made a move yet. Xiaolong Sage, Wang Chuan Great Emperor, Immortal Vajra. Oh my god, these old antiques are here. Elder Xiao murmured as he watched from afar. All kinds of monsters have appeared. The strength of these old antiques is unfathomable. They have been hiding for a long time. Now, they have all appeared for the sword Tao Divine Steel. Huang Yi's face was solemn. She was an elder of the goddess palace. She was powerful. She was also the oldest person here. Naturally, she knew more than the others. These old antiques that had appeared now were all extremely terrifying existences. They were experts who had once dominated a region. Because of some circumstances, these old antiques had originally hidden themselves from the world. But now, for the sake of the divine sword Tao Steel, in order to seize this supreme treasure, they had all come out. Huang Yi was very clear that it was extremely difficult to seize the sword Tao Divine Steel. Although the Goddess Palace was said to be one of the top 3 forces in the common people continent, they were still lacking in strength to seize the sword Tao Divine Steel. However, it would be different if they had Yang Hongwu's help. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.